The Marcia Week Show. It's the Marcia Week Show. From Barbados to Africa, voices unite. Educate minds, elevate sight. It's the Marcia Week Show. It's the Marcia Week Show. From Barbados to Africa, voices unite. Educate minds, elevate sight. It's the Marcia Week Show. Talk truth, build roots, stories unfold. Divide change, mobilizes the mode, that's the MR code. Hey, we growing, we know it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, boys and girls. We are coming to you live from, where is this? Where is this flag from? Barbados. And you just heard the national anthem of Barbados. You're watching the Marcia Week Show. And on this show, we educate, we motivate, we mobilize, we agitate. Yes, Africa and its diaspora, we are into civic activation, activation. Activism, I should say. Listen, folks, we are ready. We are ready to go. We are ready to go. How is everybody doing tonight? Tonight's show, it's going to be amazing. We have we have guests coming in from Guyana. All right? And you've been asking me about Coretta McDonald, right? Yes. So we're going to have Honorable Coretta McDonald. She's going to be on the program tonight. And she's going to be talking to us about their elections that they had in Guyana on December 1st and some of the issues that they had there. You will see how similar it is. We're also going to speak with someone from Dominica. and they are going to tell us what are some of the challenges that they had, where their opposition, the largest opposition party in the last election, decided that they were not even going to contest the election because of the electoral issues in that country. And they will also tell you how Mia Mottley fought them against electoral reform in their country. That's what they're alleging. That's their allegation, that Mia Mottley, in her role as CARICOM chair, did not support them in electoral reform in Dominica. So we're going to hear of that tonight. And so our theme tonight is the system rigged. Justice, elections, and the Caribbean credibility crisis. You're going to find out it's not just here. And there are two issues. I spoke to you about the electoral issue with the the alleged voter padding. But I want to also, we're going to talk about some allegations of uneven justice in some politically sensitive matters. We know there is a Facebook post. A lot of you know, because you've been sending it to me. A Barbadian mother who has publicly raised questions about whether her family's case has stalled because of political proximity and perceived conflicts of interest. Now, we're not going to be trying a case online here. All right, because we don't know all of the facts in the case, right? And we're not lawyers, but we're here to ask some questions because her story is not the first that we're hearing anything like that. Yeah, would you agree? It's not the first. So we're going to ask some questions. How does the justice system protect against political interference? Or does the justice system protect against political interference? When a complainant believes influence is at play, what recourse exists? What can this mother do? It is her belief that that's at play. What does she do? Should ministers or public officials rescue themselves where conflicts may arise? How transparent are prosecutorial decisions? What mechanisms ensure independence of police, the DPP, and the courts? And as I said, at the same time, across the Caribbean, from Dominica to Guyana to Barbados, concerns about voters' lists and electoral integrity continue to surface. And we're going to talk about that tonight. Because when the confidence in justice and confidence in elections, if they decline, you know what's going to happen. Our democracy is in dangerous territory. All right, so we're going to ask you to like and share quickly, guys. We have a lot to do tonight. Hey, Teroni, good evening, Teroni. How are you? Oh, I hope you're still basking in your birthday, Queen D. Good evening, Judy Jux. How are you, Judy? We had a great time in prayer today, Queen D246. Marva Hunt, good evening. Aaron Hunt, good evening. Lucinda, good evening. Hubie Shepherd, how are you? Mavis Lashley, good evening. Sylvia, good evening. Jacqueline, Margaret, Matthew B, Mavis Lashley. Cammy is in the house. Hey, Cammy. Diana Husbands. I'm a big girl now. God is love. God is love is in the house. Beverly Prescott is in the house, y'all. Sandra Pierce, good evening. And we are liking and we're sharing. We're going to have an amazing discussion. Patricia Green, Sandra Brewster, Shirley, Cece Parker, how are you? How are you? Colleen, hey, Colleen. Lori Bob, I was wondering when I'm going to see you so I could sing. I owe you a call. Hey, Jasper, how are you? Monica Hoyt, good evening. Good evening, family. It is a pleasure and a privilege to be on with you this wonderful evening. And I'm telling you, folks, I'm smelling so sweet. I have to say, I tell you, this thing that I'm wearing here is so beautiful. And people do these things a lot on their shows, and then they say, that person sponsored them. They're not sponsoring me a thing, but they are done by nature. And my husband could tell you, this is so, I'm telling you, honestly, folks, honestly, this is really, really lovely. And I just want to, it's an all over body cream, and it smells like cocoa butter. It smells like chocolate. It is so wonderful, and it is locally made. And one of the things that we want to be doing, is to keep encouraging local entrepreneurs. Okay, you're a business person, you're local. We want to encourage you. Yes, we want to encourage you. Dave, if somebody's telling me that they got my book from Amazon, Dave, if you could put my book up too, please. After this, you put my book up. But yeah, he's got it right there. But let's go back to Dawn by Nature. Let's give them a plug again. Thank you, Dave. Dave is right there. Listen, folks, Dawn by Nature. And what I'm showing you is what is in the center there. Trust me, I don't know about any of the other things, but you see this, you gonna want to shower all the time just to put it on. It is so, oh, it is beautiful, and it feels great on the skin, great moisture in the skin. And we supporting our own, y'all. We supporting your own, and they care about what we're doing here so much. And they said, Marcia Weeks, here, you can have some of this, right? And so they brought it to my house, and I used it. I also have the soap. Let me just reach for it. The soap, and it comes in this nice little package here. This one says Mackinson, but the one that I use this evening is called Cuckoo. Can you go out and support them? These things are good for gifts, right? These are good for gifts. So go out and support them. This is honestly, you can ask Dave. It's really, really good. It's very nice, very all natural, It seems to me, coconut milk, honey, yes, butter, beeswax, castor oil, oh, shea butter. So probably that's what it does say. It have fragrance in there. So I'm not sure if it's 100%, but it's a lot of it. I could tell is they would have to tell you what portion of it is all natural. And go out, please go out and support them. The link is in the in the comment section, right? Very important. We're going to be doing that. We have to help one another. All right. We're going to do that to promote products. I'm not going to be promoting nobody's event, but you have a locally made product, and I'll try my best. I think I'm going to do that, for people. Not too much though, but I will try and get it in. All right. Um, this is my book, everybody. It's called When We Lose Our Fair, They Lose Their Power. And I want to thank, who is it that said that they just bought my book today? Colert. He said, got my book from Amazon today, When We Lose Our Fair. It's going to be great reading, Colert. And so and you know that all of the proceeds of this, all of the sale, everything of it goes straight to a charity in Kenya, because the concept of the book came from Kenyans. The first time I heard the phrase, when we lose our fair, they lose their power, it was from the Kenyan young people. And so there is a school in Kenya that we're helping children to get at least a second meal per day. Normally in that village of Maturo, I was told that they have one meal a day. And so what we do, we try to provide porridge for them, and where they will have a meal when they get to school. And the porridge for them is a meal. It's very healthy. porridge. And I don't know if they could quickly, I know I'm pouncing on you, quickly show the pictures of the children already, that it has started. We're not coming to you with something we're trying to start. This is already started going. And if you want, you can donate directly to it by giving us a call, 236-7000, or you can purchase a book. And every time you purchase the book, all of the sale of the book goes straight to this program here in Maturo, Kenya, where we are, seeking to help from the diaspora. That's what our show is, right? We spread across the diaspora, and we are reaching into Africa. All right. And yes, so please go ahead, buy the book. Buy the book. When we lose our fare, they lose their power, so that we can support the children in Kenya. And I promise you, 100% of it. And whatever is not there, we're going to make it up. Trust me. That's me and my husband. That's how we operate. And we're going to try to find the money to make it up, to send to those children. If you can help, go ahead and make it happen. Okay. All right. Good. Thank you so very much. CC is saying that she's definitely going to go and buy the product. You're not going to regret it. Trust me, it is great on the skin. Every time I was, I want to shower just to put it on. Yes. That is wonderful. Now, I want to, as I said to you guys, we have some important guests who are going to join us tonight. I can see Mr. Nicholas George. He is right there in the waiting room, and he's going to join me very soon. But I want to talk with everybody tonight, and there's something that we shared with those who were in prayer. And while Dave is looking for it to put it up, I want to say that I want to encourage all Barbadians that are watching tonight, and those of you who might watch a little later. This is our country. We love Barbados. We love Barbados. And we can see what is happening politically. Now, the scripture says to pray for our leaders, and you should pray for the cabinet. But I want you to be very much aware that your involvement is going to be very important. It is important that you keep alert concerning your country. It's your country. It's not my adopted country. Right? It's going to be important. Those of you, some of you are retired. Take the time to read bills. Read the bills that they're proposing. You don't have Mr. Thorne in there anymore. A lot of times we would take our lead from what's happening in Parliament from Mr. Thorne. We have to go back to what we were doing before Mr. Thorne came. You understand? So those of you, you're retired. Some of you were educators. Some of you were in business. You know how to read. You know how to understand things. I want you to go on the Parliament website, right? And begin to find what bills are coming up. Read them, look at them, look at between the lines. Continue to pray for the leadership. That's what the Bible says. But we are going to be watchmen. We're going to be watchmen. I think God is looking for some watchmen for Barbados who will watch over Barbados. And this morning I came up with this little poster here, and I just want to read what it says. It says, where there is no, okay, waiting on Dave thank you. Where there's no earthly opposition, heaven still speaks. Where there is no earthly opposition, Barbados heaven will speak. And heaven is not, you're not going to be hearing a loud voice coming from the sky. It's going to be your voice. You are going to be speaking, Barbados. It's you. It is your voice that will speak. And you can't speak unless you go to look at what it is they're proposing, the legislation that they're proposing. Okay, so very important that you do that. Yes, important. And let me see the thumbs up. Those of you who say I am going to be one of those who watch over Barbados. If that is you, let me see your I'm waiting for you to put the thumbs up in the comment section. If that is you, you say, Marcia, this I am going to be focused. I'm going to be focused. I'm going to watch to see what is going on. If that is you, let me see you put something in the comment section. Because listen, myself and all of the panelists, we can't do it by ourselves. If you remember when we started out at the second round of it, right? There was no Mr. Thorne. Don't you remember? And we were coming on here. We had Caswell at the time, and he was bringing the bills on here and showing us what was going on. And everybody was involved. We can't do it by ourselves. You're going to have to go, I'm telling you now, straight up to the Parliament website. And you are going to, that's the only way to do it, That's the only way. Okay, Dave, I just sent you my Facebook page, Dave, with something I put up on Facebook, and you can put it up after now, if you can do that now. Thank you. It's in your WhatsApp. Yes? Yes. Oh, wow. I see those hands. That's like church. Oh my goodness. I see them. Yes. And don't mind what they say. I saw people are going to say all kinds of things about you. You are Barbadian and you have the right to speak. And I know that they would like to shut me up by telling me I am not Barbadian, but you know the difference, okay? You know what's going on here. But I saw Davidson, D2. He had a post up today, very respectful post. And he was asking the question, what about the integrity in public life bill that we were promised from law that we were promised from 2018? Will it be proclaimed? Is he wrong for asking that? No. And so when you see D2 go out there and D2 does something like that, share it. When you see Dr. Tull has a wonderful video that we're going to show tonight. Share it. I want to tell everybody, go over to D2, David Davidson, D2, to his page, and I want you to look for what he put up this morning about asking about the integrity in public life law, and give it a thumb, give it a like and share. We must work together. Whether it's D2, whether it is Ryan Best, I call him Rangate Man, you know who I mean, whether I put up a post, whoever put up a post that is doing what it's supposed to do, share it. Listen, we every podcaster out there, I say to you, you have a YouTube page, you have a Facebook page, right? You have an Instagram page, or you're posting on your personal page, whatever it is that you're doing, let us not turn the guns on each other. Don't do it. Waste of time. Barbados needs all of us. And we need to turn our attention to the government where they need, when you need to, you believe that you need to congratulate them on what they're doing, do so. But when you see for example, infringing on the rights of people, when you see corruption, when you see them lying, when you see promises not kept, speak out about it. So that when they come for D2, they're coming for all of us. Do you understand? Because he's expecting a backlash from the way he wrote it. But what we do is that I went and I shared D2 stuff on my page. I did. I saw another one. Sheriff Veronica was doing another thing tonight, I think, or yesterday, about some. She was talking about sewage, in a particular area. I honestly can't remember it. I just saw the headline. If that is what she's using her platform for on those issues, share them. Listen, podcasters, those of you have a channel, it doesn't make sense. You're competing with the next person. You're fighting down the next person. I'm not involved in that. I am going to elevate everybody. I'm going to elevate you. You are elevating the country. I'm going to come on here and tell the people, go subscribe to that channel. Go and support them. Go and like D2's post and give him some encouragement. Write something there. It matters, because you know what happens in this country, Barbados, when people stand up. And I asked Dave to show me this, to bring up this post. Dave, you can make it a little bigger. This is on my channel, on my Facebook page. Dave? Yeah. This is on my Facebook page. And when I went there today, why is it opening up on my, yeah. When I went up there today, I put this thing up on February 15th. Right? Okay, it's not, you only seen a piece of it, Dave. I guess you're working on it. And I felt to put this up. And I want to thank everybody. Dave, is it possible for it to be any, like, the Facebook page can't extend? It can't. Okay. It's a post that I wanted you to see the full post, but unfortunately, it's seeming like it's not possible to see the full post. But it says here, from the top, let me read from the top. Then, thanks, Dave. We are placed here. We are placed where we are called to serve, with grace, with love, with purpose. And it says, born in Jamaica, placed in Barbados for such a time as this. God orders our steps. Barbados is where I live, where I serve, where I pray, where I love. Elections may shift, but purpose does not. And who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this. Esther 4, verse, I think it says 14b. And I want to thank everybody who went and left such beautiful comments over there. For me, and it's very encouraging. Yeah. But I mean, I see somebody here writing somebody else. Yeah. But I will deal with that another time. Yeah. But I thank God for the almost 50,000. This is it here. 49,000 views. And I thank you for the prayers. Yeah. And I thank you so very much for what you do. and for the encouragement, for the the criticism, for everything. And I just thought I would say I just felt like I needed to do that and to say thank you. I do not take it for granted. I do not take anything for granted. Thank you all so very much, very much. God bless. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. So I see a lot of people sign up. I see a lot of people signed up that they are going to they are going to become watchers. All right. Well, I have with me Mr. Nicholas George is here with me from Dominica. He's no stranger to the Marcia Week show, and so I'm going to welcome him to the Marcia Week show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight, sir.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Wicks. It's a pleasure to be on the program with you. We've just completed 2 days of revelry on our roads, so Dominica is now returned to some normalcy. And well, we always had peace, and with the intermittent disturbance of that peace, but we're classing ourselves as the nature isle of the Caribbean and the most peaceful in the Caribbean. So thank you for inviting us, inviting me, inviting Dominica.
Yes, you're most welcome, sir. Tonight, I wanted to talk about what we see as almost like we see as a trend happening in the Caribbean. Now, I just want to, if Dave could put up the what we have on the EBC, we have something that we have created on the EBC. So while he's doing that, let me just say that, sir, we just had our elections in Barbados, and when I saw what was happening, I said, my goodness, didn't go to um, if I didn't go to Dominica and had the opportunity of meeting you guys, I probably would not believe what I was hearing. It would have seemed so far fetched. But sir, we had a voter list that was way larger than our entire population, including children, 17 and under. Now, so our voter list was 271,000 approximately, a little bit more than that, and our population, based on the last census, was 269,000. Now, we have not even taken yet the 40,000 children 17 and under out of that, which would leave us to about 220,000 thereabout, right? But our voters list is 270, where it should have been 200 and say probably 25,000. 271. And these are some of the challenges that we are finding, that we found that happened with us, with our electoral list. Deceased persons remained on the voters list. Eligible citizens with voting histories were missing. Residents were classified as overseas voters. All right. What we saw, transfer requests were not processed properly. People went and they said they want to transfer from one polling station to the next because they would have moved and they would have gotten a letter from the EBC to say, okay, well, it's done. And when they went to the polling station, they were told that it's not, no, you're not even registered to vote. Because the transfers were not done. They might be on a list at another place that nobody knows where that is. Families living in the same house were assigned to different polling districts or constituencies. Many 18 to 22-year-olds were not registered. Some voters appeared on the master list, but not on their polling district list, creating confusion and delays. And as we said here, these were systemic administrative failures. These were not minor clerical mistakes. Now, this is what happened in Barbados, and I believe we can all attest to this. And now, can you identify with anything that I've just read? Any of these? Can you identify with
Well,
any of?
well, clearly, at one point, I know that you've invited me, and I'm from Dominica. I know that I am from Dominica, and I was wondering if you had not mischievously put on these references because you were referencing Dominica. I identify with everything that you have on the list. Our population is smaller than yours. We are 72,000, and our voters list at last count was 74,000. So you can do the maths, and you see the relationship between Barbados's and ours. The we've just we've been fighting for electoral reform in Dominica since probably 2005. In 2025, the Registration of Electors Act, the House of Assembly Act, and the Electoral Commissions Act, they were all passed on the 19th of March 2025. And we've been asking for, advocating for re-registration of everybody in Dominica. So cleanse the list, cleanse it completely. And we were buttressed by the obiter dictum from the Caribbean Court of Justice that said Dominica should not go into another election with all these things or similar things that are present in our electoral system. Yet they gave that judgment and their comments in June 2022, and we had election on the 6th of December 2022. So despite our final court commenting on the things that are contained in our electoral process, we still had election.
So hold a second. So you brought your issue to the Caribbean Court of Justice.
Yes,
Explain that to us. Talk to us about that, because
we
I think that's where we are right now. So tell us what happened and how you got there.
we challenged the results in 10 constituencies and all the irregularities that went with that, and almost similar to the points that you have on the screen. That went to the Supreme Court in Dominica, and the judge throughout dismissed all the claims that were brought seeking relief. And we appealed to the OECS Supreme Appeals Court. And the appeals court said it had no jurisdiction to hear the appeal because of the way the High Court judge had dealt with the petitions that were before the court. Now, we are told that after an election, if you're going to question the validity of an election, then you must do so via petition within 21 days. And we met that requirement. We petitioned the court for a result that would nullify the election of the 10 people. And the High Court judge found a way to not allow the matter to go to trial, and decided that there wasn't sufficient evidence to go to trial. And even if there was, the results of the election suggested that in the constituencies where the Labour Party candidates were challenged, that would not have made a difference. In other words, the elected representative won, say, by 400 votes. All right. So therefore, that would not have made a difference. The issue, and this is where I found a problem. I wouldn't normally challenge a judge, but the issue is not whether the election, the results, the 400 votes would not have made a difference. It's the fact that it was corrupt. The election itself was corrupt. Okay, that
and summarize for us, what you said the elections in Dominica was corrupt, and you're saying it is almost identical to what we just showed you on screen of what happened in Barbados. Explain to us in your words, sir. I know why I'm doing this. Why are you saying Dominica's last election was corrupt?
You just said that you have a list that has 271,000 voters. You have 269,000 residents, minus 49,000 people who are beyond and below 18, and that brings you to 222. Not all of them, not all the 222 would be registered. Our similarity is we have 74,000 on our electors list, and we have a population of 72. So if you take off 15,000 from that, then 15,000 from 70 is 55. So our list should be between 40,000 and 50,000. So what are we doing? What are we doing with 74,000? So there already is a tint that was.
So it's the same. I want Barbadians to see. Folks, I want you to hear from this gentleman. Are you guys sharing this live? Very important. This show is very important because you're going, and Coretta McDonald is getting ready to come in from Guyana. You're going to see what is going on here. And remember what the Prime Minister of Barbados, what she says, that she is defending the red parties. She went to Dominica, don't forget, and she went to speak on behalf of Prime Minister Skerritt at their political meeting. Don't forget. And so there is, and she said, red, it's all about the red parties. She went to St. Lucia to support the St. Lucians. She went to, she didn't go, but she sent people from Barbados to support Ralph Gonzalez in that election in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And for Guyana, the president of Guyana, another red party, they call themselves brother and sister. So there is that relationship. And hear what they're saying to us in Dominica. Continue, sir, while I wait for Mr. McDonald to let me know if she's ready.
Yes, so I'm saying that I'll give you one example. We have the National Broadcasting Station, right? We call it DBS, Dominica Broadcasting Station. And we applied from the United Workers' Party, the opposition. We wrote the management, the board of directors for permission to speak to the citizenry on our political policies. That was disallowed. Now, this station is maintained by the taxpayers of Dominica, yet the voices of the candidates on the opposition side wasn't allowed to be heard on that radio station, whereas the launch of every Labour Party candidate in 2019 was heard on the national radio station. And the judge said, well, so that's what I'm saying. This is a denial of a right. So if you go into election and you do not respect the rights of the people from the start, then the results that issue are themselves corrupt, irrespective of whether the parliamentary representative won by 300 votes. As far as I'm concerned, that was not the issue. The issue is, as the justices in Trinidad at the Caribbean Court of Justice identified with the pleadings that we laid before them, that there are taints in the electoral process in Dominica. I'm not the one who wrote that. The judgment is available.
And can I just let the viewers know, I saw the document. I read that document, right? So go ahead.
Right. Good. And then we, on the opposition side, the United Workers' Party, and as a partner to the Electoral Reform Coalition, we wrote the heads of every government, the heads of state and government in CARICOM, the Secretary General of the Commonwealth, the Secretary General of CARICOM, the OAS. I'm not sure that we did the United Nations, and the OECS. We wrote a body of material that, if studied, somebody could obtain their doctorate in politics, studying Dominica as a case study, as that alone. And we did not have the courtesy not the courtesy of a response from these people. Save last year when we wrote Prime Minister Mia Mottley, who was the chairman of CARICOM then, because the government was going to pass the laws I spoke of earlier in March 19th, and the Prime Minister had applied to CARICOM to activate the mechanism, the RSS mechanism that would send RSS troops here because the citizens of Dominica were going to protest the passage of the laws. And we wrote and pleaded with the Prime Minister, Mia Mottley, please do not activate that mechanism. And thankfully, she wrote back and said that the mechanism was not activated. All right? So we have the law now. We now have the law, and the process, instead of re-registration in Dominica, we have confirmation. Now, so that's 74,000 people list. Every elector there now must go and apply for reconfirmation or confirmation from the 15th of October. I applied for confirmation on the 17th of October. It is now the 18th of February, and I have not received a reply from the Chief Elections Officer that I have been confirmed and that I should get my ID card. Yet, she has put out a report saying how many people have been confirmed. Now, I went to our registering point 2 days after the office was opened. So what is taking the electoral office so long to call me and tell me my ID card is ready?
Okay.
So right now, I am in oblivion because I need to reconfirm for me to get back on the list. I have applied for reconfirmation, and the Chief Elections Officer doesn't say how long it takes to confirm me who voted in 2019. I was a candidate. How much more material you require on me when I registered as an elector and a candidate? I contested the election in 2019. So what is so classical about confirming me? I have not received that confirmation. So going forward now, if the Prime Minister were to call a snap election, the electors list that would be used is not the one where people are being confirmed now, but the old list and under the old act that had been repealed of 74,000 electors. So until a new list is issued by the Chief Elections Officer, the old list stands, and that is in law. So it's codified in law. So the old list stands. So therefore, if we call an election now, the old list shall be used. 74,000. Yours, it would have been 271,000.
Yes.
And here is the similarity. That is a major thing. So we have not yet a whole year since we've passed electoral reform laws. We said in Dominica, we have not reformed anything.
Wow, because again, they're getting ready to do whatever they do. These red parties, it seems to me, that there's something that they're doing that has to do with a bloated voters list. It's in their benefit. There's something that they're doing with the numbers. There's something that's going on because it's too similar. It'll be interesting. I don't have the time right now, but when I come off to look at the difference, how much is it padded by, what percentage? It'd be very interesting to see the difference between Barbados and Dominica. It might turn out to be very similar in percentage. But let me just hang on, please, Mr. George, and let me speak with Honorable Coretta McDonald. Good evening, ma'am. You're muted.
Sorry. Good evening to you, and good evening to your viewers as well as your guests this evening. Happy New Year to you. It's been a while, but I'm happy to be here because it's quite exciting times we're living in. But we have to continue to fight. We have to continue to educate our people so they know exactly what is happening.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. And I know that you sit in the opposition in Parliament,
Yep,
and you would have just had your elections on December 1st. Am I correct?
September 1st. September
September
1st.
1st. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. St. Vincent was December, but you're September 1st. Okay. Now, you had your elections in December 1st, and I know that I read online that there's a whole issue about your voters list. So we're going to sit down and listen to her, Mr. George. I'm from Barbados, the viewers, and most of them from Barbados, and you're from Dominica. Tell us about your voters list in Guyana.
Well, in Guyana, this year, according to the GCOMS register, and of course, when you talk about GCOMS register, you have to put quote unquote, and you have to put all kinds of caps on GCOM because GCOM wasn't coming, GCOM went. So it's not a GCOM anymore
So
because
what
of the
is
amount of
GCOM? What is GCOM? This is
GCOM
like
is the Guyana Elections Commission.
okay, so in Barbados, guys, I said that's the Electoral and Boundaries Commission. And in Dominica, what is it?
It's the Electoral Commission.
Electoral Commission. So everybody understands. So when she says GCOM, think about the EBC in Barbados, or think about the EC, Electoral Commission in Dominica. Go right ahead, ma'am.
So in Guyana, we had a census. Some 3.5 years later, we are still awaiting the authentic results from that census. Of course, the government came and they gave you a flimsy thing. And when you kept asking questions, those questions were unanswered. And that census came after the elections. You noticed after the elections, we got the census.
The census came after the elections.
The census report, a report which is not yet available to all and sundry. We understand why they operate like that. I heard you talking about the Red Party and the Red Parties and how they call themselves brother and sister and big brother and big sister and little brother and so on. And so we understand that while we hear the talks about democracy and we're a democratic government and our processes are transparent, they're not really saying that. They're saying that because they know those words. But in actual fact, we don't have that being practiced in many, but I can speak for Guyana. We don't have that being practiced in Guyana. As a matter of fact, we hear the talks about this one Guyana. But if you look at where the people in Mocha live, as compared to where some folks live in Bath on the west coast of Berbice, you see a vast difference. If you look at opportunities that are available to folks in a village called Buxton, as against what happens in a village called that we call Monrepose, it's a vast difference, as a matter of fact. If you look at the market area where our citizens go to put their vegetables and goods to sell, and you compare some of those markets with other markets, then you clearly see that we don't have a one Guyana. We have three Guyanas. Let me say that. Three Guyanas. One Guyana for the rich and the famous, friends, families, and favorites. Another Guyana for those in the middle. And then we have another Guyana for the masses. That's the ordinary people. So we have three Guyanas. And so I'm sure you heard about the Diamond Ball that we had here that was hosted by the First Lady. At that Diamond Ball, you wouldn't want to guess the price of the ticket. So at that Diamond Ball, even though we talk about one Guyana, that Diamond Ball did not cater for the ordinary people. The ordinary people couldn't attend that Diamond Ball.
Yeah,
but
I saw pictures, actually saw pictures of it online. But let me ask you something. Let's go back to the voters list or GCOM. What were some of the concerns? Because I saw people were writing online, but I want to hear from you. What were some of the concerns of the voters read GCOM?
What we would have had over the last 3 years leading up to elections would have been the call for one, a clean voters list. Because we recognized coming out of the 2020 elections, and I'm sure you saw the reports there. There were the reports there indicated one, persons who were dead, they were ticked as being as voted. So we had dead people voting. We had persons who lived out of Guyana, Guyanese, let me say that, Guyanese who lived out of Guyana. You saw all the reports from the immigration office where these persons did not enter Guyana at any time during that period, but their names were ticked as being as having voted. So we had that.
Hold a second. So you're going a bit too fast for us. I can see my guy from Dominica taking notes. I hope you all taking notes. Guys, this is so important, that we live together as one Caribbean, because this is how we know that they're messing with us, all right? Because I see him there writing down notes, right? Dave, put back up our stuff from the EBCs, the irregularities that we've had with the EBC. Can you put that back up? So you're saying that in that election, that I remember that election where that's from that time. I know you guys had a problem with Mia Motley because she came in and she was really supporting the Red Party. Now we know why. She was supporting the Red Party. And in that election, you are saying that on your list you had deceased persons whose names are on the voters list. And when you guys checked after election,
they voted.
And the dead people voted. Wow.
We had, like I said, we had persons who are Guyanese who are living outside of Guyana. They were also ticked as having voted. That's in the 2020 elections. So after that, we had, of course, we had a recount and all of that. And coming out of the recount, those were the anomalies that were found. So going past 2020, after the installed government regime, after that regime was installed, there was a call and there was protest action every Tuesday in front of the GCOM's office for a clean voters list and for us to use biometrics. Mind you,
pause there. So because of the irregularities that you noticed in 2020, I remember that election. It was very, very serious, and CARICOM was called in. And at that time, our prime minister was the head of CARICOM, and they all went. They supported one party over the next. You're saying at that time, after 2020, you guys did protest action in front of GCOM, which is like EBC in Barbados, every week, you said?
Every Tuesday.
Wow. For how long?
For from 2021, leading right up to about 2 or 3 months before the elections. We kept calling, yes, and these were recommendations coming out from the OAS and CARICOM and so on after they recognized all of these irregularities. These were some of the recommendations that they put forward. Clean voters list, biometrics. Now, we kept calling for all of that all this time. 6 months before the elections, GCOM said to us that they weren't ready. They couldn't employ the use of biometrics because they had to train people and all kinds of things. Mind you, you had all this time to do that. And let me say, we have implemented biometrics at our international airports. But GCOM couldn't find that possible to do. So we moved into the 2025 elections, having not had our census report. So in the 2025 elections, we had 757,690 voters who were registered. They were eligible to vote. 7,557,690. Coming out of GCOM's report, we had 442,550 voters who cast their vote on September 1st. Now, it is saying to us, when we did the math, it is saying to us that 315,140 persons did not cast a ballot. Did not cast a ballot. On elections day, we recognize, well, even before elections day, we recognize that in some places we found, in one home, let me say that, there were 25 persons living in one home, 25 of them. And
Mhm.
every single one of them carried the same name. Every single one of them carried the same name.
Excuse
In
me?
addition to, yes, and
Explain.
those were highlighted by GCOM to GCOM. We had all these persons registered at this one address. All of these persons. On Even before that, we saw on elections day, as a matter of fact, we saw persons with one name, let's say Marcia. Then you saw Marcia Weeks. You found ID cards were issued just about 3 months before the elections in July of 2025. ID cards were issued, and not issued to Guyanese, but they were issued to Venezuelans, those from Pakistan. We had lots and lots of Indian nationals here, and these were bussed from one place to another, to another, to another to vote on elections day. We
Mm.
raised the issue about all of these foreign nationals that we recognize were coming into the country. We also spoke about them being registered, where we noticed that they were going to register them in drones. We found persons coming from Suriname. They were brought over with little boats, paid, and allowed to vote in the quarantine, and that's in Region 6, East Quarantine Berbice. And so this whole business of the elections was compromised even from the start. The observers who were here, they said yes, the process was smooth. There were no hiccups during the process as on voting on elections day, but they recognized that the elections, it wasn't an even playing ground leading up to elections day, because one, no other party had access to state media. You couldn't use state media. Some venues that you wanted to use to host your rallies, they were not available. At the last minute, they were not available. We found members from the ruling party, including a sitting minister, they walked through other political parties when they were having their meetings. They were walking through the meetings with some walking. You had vehicles playing loud music, disturbing meetings. And when you spoke about these issues, they all went on deaf ears. Again, with no fear of being contradicted, the 2025 elections in Guyana, they were rigged.
Wow. Because listen, you stick a pin there. Barbadians, are you hearing this? Can you share up the live, please? I know you don't want to miss it. Take a moment. You've just joined. Like and share. Go ahead and share in WhatsApp group. Share to your people, folks. Very important that you do it. Take a moment, please. This is very important here. We are sharing on what is happening in Dominica, what is happening in Guyana in their elections. And it's the same, basically the same script. I mean, the good thing about Barbados is that we were able to go on state media to some extent, not to the same as, I don't think the same as the government, especially leading up to elections, did not have the same. You can't say it was the same leading up to elections. In elections, they did their best to try to be fair to the opposition parties. But leading up to it, I remember hearing, and I could see it wasn't fair in a lot of instances. But a lot of what you heard, you talk about the deceased persons voting, they're bringing in the immigrants. We've seen Jamaicans bragging online that they got their registration card and they didn't even register, but they got a letter from EBC that they could vote. I've seen Jamaicans saying that, and they said, "But I didn't go in to register. But how come? I go and vote then, right?" So let me bring Mr. George in this conversation from Dominica. Mr. George, I want you to talk about to talk about the CARICOM observers at all of these elections. Did you have CARICOM observers in Dominica?
Yes, we did. We've had since 2009, I think, we've had observers. And in one of them, I think it's 2014, one of the reports said that the elections were free but not necessarily fair.
Yes, I saw that.
And as as the Guyanese rep has said, they made similar recommendations. Now, interestingly, in 2013, your prime minister, our original prime minister, the Honorable Mia Motley, was contracted as a consultant to advise this current government on electoral reform processes in Dominica. And she submitted a report. Dominicans have not seen that report. And that's 2013. In 2000, Sir Dennis Byron was contracted. The reports are available. I think I submitted that to you. And the recommendations are there again for equal time on the radio station. So that is now it's codified in law in the 2025 Act. It is there in the law, but that is going to be managed by the Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commission has 5 members. 3 of them, including the chairman, are lawyers. They're attorneys at law, and they were appointed. 2 were nominated by the government, and 1 was appointed by the president. The 3 of them are what we call CBI, Citizenship by Investment Program agents. Okay? And they are the people who sit there and decide who votes and who doesn't vote. And I've just told you what's happened to me. So, like I said to you, if we had an election in June of this year, the 74,000 people bloated list is the one that's going to be used, not any reform. Now, in October of 2025, notwithstanding that the law was passed in March of 2025, registration has been suspended. Now, there are 2 things. The electors list, we're trying to cleanse it. That is why you're going to confirm. But registration should be continuous as is in the present law. And the elections officer, the chief elections officer, told us as Dominicans that they weren't ready and they did not have the electronic support for registration, and therefore it is suspended until they have gotten that thing rectified. Now, we're talking October, November, December 2025. But in 2023, 2024, we were registering people, or in 2018, 2017, 2018, 2019, we were registering people, and it was not electronically aided. So how is it that we in 2025, 2026, we cannot register new registrants? Now, and again, I say this to you to underscore that if the election is called now, and even if you were to take the people who are confirmed and issue a new list, it will be without new registrants, because the registering of electors has been suspended, which is a violation of the current act, because it says that there shall be continuous registration of new electors.
But they have stopped. They have stopped now. And they're saying on they're saying they don't have the facility to continue registering.
Yes, it is not. It's supposed to be electronically aided,
Mm-hmm.
and no. Now try to put that in context. Any law to be enforced by the Electoral Commission that's going to be passed in Parliament must be submitted constitutionally to the Commission for its study.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that was done in 2024. May 2024, the Prime Minister sent all the bills, the three bills, to the Electoral Commission. They asked for 3 months extension. They got that. There are three attorneys, and they have the right to ask the Attorney General for additional legal advice. So the Attorney General's chambers could advise them on whatever it is that they're confronted with as they're studying the laws, the bills. And they would have made their recommendations, which the Dominican public did not see, has not seen. So you would have recommended to the government what it is that you require in law to enable you to conduct your business. And therefore, when the acts are passed, the bills are passed and they become acts of parliament, then you would have thought that the recommendations of the commission are contained in the bills, in the acts, and therefore the commission itself would be financed and be ready to apply the law. So what happened between March of 2025 and October 15th, 2025? In that intervening period, the commission was not ready for confirmation.
Now, let me ask you something. And I want a response to from Miss from
Correct.
Coretta.
Correct.
I normally put the honorable before it. Coretta McDonald. Now, what I want to say is this: I want to tell both of you something. One is that our leader of the opposition, the official leader of the opposition, could not vote because his polling station that he's always voted at, where his residence has been for years and years, he and his wife went to vote together. They would have received in the mail their letter from the Electoral and Boundaries Commission telling them where they are to vote. They went there to vote. When they got there, only the wife name was on the list at that polling station, and they're saying to him he might have to check somewhere else. And as a lawyer, he knows. He says, no, I'm not going to do that because I'm legally supposed to vote with the polling station where I live. That is what the law says. And I am not going to commit fraud because I know nothing about that other station that you're sending me to. Okay, so he never got a chance to cast his vote because they, again, just like other Barbadians, this is what happened on the day to Barbadians, that there was a lot of administrative errors there. Well, apparently errors and frustration. People were sent to 4 different polling stations before they could find where they're supposed to vote. Some people actually literally got up. Forgot, gave up. My head is going, gave up voting because they were so frustrated. Coretta, I would like you to comment on that, Honorable Coretta McDonald.
Well, that in itself is one of the tactics that is used to destabilize, let me use the word destabilize people, to frustrate them and to get persons not to vote. We've had those kinds of experiences, and we've been having those kinds of experiences here, where you turn up, you are registered at point X. You go there before the elections, you check the list, you see your name there. And when you turn up on elections day, you're going to all of the booths. Whether your name is Marcia Weeks and you go to M or you go to Q or you go to R, and nowhere there they can find your name. And then they would want to tell you, oh, go to somewhere else. And this somewhere else, it's not right around the corner. It's somewhere way out, halfway to the other end of the country. So right away in your mind, I don't have time for that. This is frustrating. I'm not going to pay transportation to get there, or I'm not going to drive to get there. I'm going home. And so it's what they use every time. As a matter of fact, with our GCOM, the commissioners at GCOM, we have 3 government, 3 opposition, and there's a chairperson. The chairperson
The chairperson is from the government as well?
she's a retired judge who has been there she was there for the last elections in 2020. And I forgot to say that we have been calling for the resignation of Claudette Singh as chairman of GCOM. We've been calling for her resignation. But of course, you know what she did in 2020. If you were to bring on somebody new, that person might very well not do for them what she was prepared to do. So they kept her on there. But
she's put there by the government, is what I'm saying.
She was selected by the opposition then, who is now government.
Right. You see that, so it's the same thing. Well, I want people to see the similarities between the commissioner, the EBC commissioner, the appointment by the government, and the same thing that happens in Guyana. So you see how it works. And and just by the way, the most recent, the election just finished on the 11th, and yesterday we realized that the EBC commissioner, the fresh commissioner, is now a senator in the government. So we don't know if that was a reward, but continue.
So every time there's a sitting of the commission, the chairman of the commission, she votes with the government side. Every time there's a decision to be made, as long as the government side is voting for, she goes there. If they're voting against, she goes there. And so we found in doing so, we had no confidence in you. You were no longer trustworthy. You were no longer reliable. More so coming out of what transpired in 2020, where the very Claudette Singh said to us that all of these votes, where we found where you had the death certificates to prove that these persons were dead and their names were ticked as voted, those ballots will not be counted. All of the evidence that we provided there for persons who were not in the country and their names were ticked as voted, those ballots will not be counted. And with the same swing of the tongue, Claudette Singh returned and she said, those votes are valid and so they will be counted. And so we had no confidence in Claudette, but the government did not budge. They did not budge. They allowed the same thing to go through. The same bloated list went through. And then, of course, we had an increase of over 100,000 voters. Now, that 100,000 voters, it could not have been, and it was not 100,000 Guyanese who grew, who their ages went up, let me put it that way, from 2020 to 2025. We did not have all of those young people who were eligible now to vote, 100 of them. They were those who came in from Suriname. They were those Venezuelans who were allowed to vote. They were those Cubans who were allowed to vote. You had the Brazilians. You had some Nigerians. You had some from the Indian nationals. You had some from Pakistan. Those were the people who made up that number. And the government was not alarmed by this. They were not alarmed by the amount of Venezuelans that were rushing into Guyana. They were not alarmed by this. As a matter of fact, they quoted it by saying, oh, these Venezuelans that are coming here to us now, it's because of the crisis that they have in Venezuela, 1. And 2, they were saying, oh, these were Guyanese who migrated many, many years ago, and they are now returning to Guyana, and so we must accept them. But that was out of it. That was out of it. We had persons there with Guyanese ID card and could not speak one tidbit of English. Not a tidbit of English. So if you are from Guyanese parentage, you want to tell me that at home you don't speak any English? You want to tell me at home you don't speak any form of Creolese, and you've been here, for the last 6 months, you pick up a little bit? English? No English, no English. That's all they tell you. But these
Wow.
persons were allowed to vote.
So
And
they
so
came
again,
in.
again, I want to say that the 2025 elections were rigged again by this government simply because they have tasted what oil money tastes like. They were able to use oil monies to build big fancy mansions with pools and to buy luxury vehicles. And when they did not buy the vehicles and the mansions locally, they bought them overseas and they claimed that, oh, they came from rich families and they sold chocolates and all kinds of things. And that's how they acquired their monies. That is why they did not, they did what they did during the election. But you know what? We have a new opposition, let me say that. We have two opposition parties, but we have a new opposition main party. And that party gained 16 seats. But that party, too, we saw in coming in going into that elections, we saw money playing a major role in the elections and the way the voting went.
Well, we're
Because
gonna
you
get
had
to that. We're gonna get to that. Just hold that, because
fine.
that's the question I wanted to ask about money. But let me ask you, Mr. George, what's your comment on the fact that our leader of the opposition, the polling station that he's always voted at, he and his wife got dressed. You can imagine the embarrassment. He's the leader of the opposition. The
Wow.
media will be there to watch him to cast his vote, and to hear him, come out and to say what, how he feels that his chances are. Because I was home waiting on that. Can you believe the embarrassment that he would have gone through in turning up at the station and his name is not at the polling station where he normally votes? What are your thoughts about that?
It is precisely what I tried to say earlier. And the person who would have won the election in that constituency he's supposed to have voted and probably contested himself, they would have probably won by 500 votes. But having deliberately or otherwise, and I believe it is deliberate, not facilitating the leader of the opposition to vote where he has regularly voted for the past 20, 30 years, is a disenfranchisement. And for me, that was enough to vitiate the election, the return of the election. I know the courts have a difficulty in dealing with the issues when they're casting judgment. But it's like we are legitimizing corruption, right? We are legitimizing unethical behavior in our Caribbean. And therefore, it is not enough to say that I am a government elected parliamentary representative. You are elected on ethical standards, moral standards, and you are there to represent the interests of people, and where there is wrong, you must condemn it. The fact that you're in government, notwithstanding. But in other words, we protested against our colonial masters. And those of us who protested now have become colonial masters in their own rights. And
Modern day ones.
they're worse. The
Modern
slavery
day ones.
that they're imposing on us is worse than what, at least, Britain listened to the fighters, the liberators in Haiti. When these people liberated themselves in Haiti in 1804, the French put a sanction on them and they had to pay. Just recently that they finished paying for earning their freedom. But our liberators in the Caribbean, we were granted independence. So we fought and we got something out of it. And now, those who are being elected and putting up themselves for election are perpetuating worse crimes than the colonial masters. We cannot put these things at the feet of the British. Cannot. Because they didn't do that. Yes, they enslaved us. But then the history says that they freed us. And then they allowed us to govern ourselves. And we are doing a very poor job. You know what? It is like right now, I am disillusioned with the political system. And in Dominica, I challenge our Prime Minister, Prime Minister Skerritt, to join me in changing the political system that we're using to govern us in Dominica. And that is to say, it is too divisive. All right? It breeds hatred and enmity. And then when it goes down to the lower echelon of the society, it manifests itself in crime, criminal activity. And when we see the criminal activity in the lower echelon of society, we now employ psychologists and sociologists to tell us what is wrong down there. And we are ignoring the divisiveness, the dehumanizing, the enmity that is bred from the top. We are forgetting that. You go to the prison, for instance, it's people at the lower echelon of the society that are in prison.
Always.
You understand? So the political system that we have governing ourselves now must be changed.
Yes.
If not, then we have institutionalized the election of corrupt people.
Yes. Well, wow, that is powerful right there. Oh boy, our time is going. I want a quick answer to this particular question, because I want to leave room to talk about what do we do, because I know, for example, that Dominica went to court on this and about this kind of these irregularities at during elections with the voters list. Dominica went, and I want to hear about Guyana, but let's talk about money. Just give me a quick answer because of time, Coretta, and then I'll go to Nicholas George from Dominica. What role does money play in the elections in Guyana?
It plays a big role.
Explain.
Simply because of just what my brother said. The masses at the bottom, they can hardly feed themselves. They can hardly do anything. And so if you dangle a carrot in front of them, then they will do whatever. And so monies in Guyana, lots and lots and lots of monies that were supposed to have been used to, one, improve the standard of living by raising your teachers and nurses and public servants' salaries, by rehabilitating our schools and our hospitals, and giving us better service, better equipment to be used in the Guyana Police Force, in the Guyana Defense Force, and in the prison system. Those monies were used to do things like these: purchase water tanks and distributing them in areas, handing out cash grants.
During the elections.
Leading up to the elections, handing out cash grants. Then you had them, infrastructural work was all over, as if that was the new medicine around. So every corner, you had men working on the streets, fixing roads. You had SUD being turned for construction of new schools. You had SUD being turned for the construction of new hospitals. Now, mind you, we have hospitals, and these hospitals were not even given a blink, but we were building new hospitals. And so we had, of course, don't forget, we had black belly sheep, we had black hen chicken, all kinds of things we had being distributed across this country. And that's on the government side. On the side of the new opposition leader, Mohammed's, that's the new Win Party, we had monies being shared like crazy. Persons were given $10,000 to put on a T-shirt and to stand there with them. Persons were given $15,000 to go out there and vote. They were motorcycles were bought for them. Some were cars were bought for some. Some were given a new home, or some of them, their homes were rehabilitated. Their children were given some monies to go to school. So money played a major role in the 2025 elections, which would have caused some of the swing from where it was to where it's at now. And of course, with GCOM there doing the kind of nonsense, that too, coupled with monies, did the swing for the elections.
And GCOM is like EBC, in Barbados or Electoral Commission in Dominica? A short answer, Mr. George. What is the role of money in the election? Somebody says a rhetorical question, Marcia. Money talks and votes. But Jasper says, go
when I
ahead.
was listening to the honorable lady, I almost felt that Dominica seemed to be a sub-region of Ghana. Yes, and that's the best way I can answer it, because she talked about luxury cars and mansions. Our prime minister may be on his third mansion, 12-room mansions, now. And he was he declared to the Integrity in Public Office Commission that he'd receive a gift, a luxury jeep, and a member of that commission sat on the commission and said, no, I don't believe this, and took the matter to court, challenged it at court. And the judge decided that the vehicle must be impounded until a proper hearing is done. So the vehicle was taken away from the prime minister and set aside until the matter is settled in court. That is, in other words, we've taken many of our issues to court. And we have now the Citizen by Investment program, and we are constructing, according to our prime minister, we're constructing a $1.5 billion airport. We have not borrowed from the IMF, the World Bank, any country. That money was raised by the sale of our passports, 1.5 billion. When the airport is completed, Dominica will not be owing anybody. Well, guess what? The developers are not from Dominica. The contractors are Chinese, they're not from Dominica.
Wow.
And for the truck drivers, the heavy truck drivers, to have gotten employment, they had to protest, bring their trucks across the road to be able to transport cement imported from China to the airport site. They have to protest. The engineers are from outside of Dominica. So we are not benefiting. So right now, the opposition in Dominica has taken the matter to court, asking the government to account for almost $6 billion or $8 billion that has been raised by the sale of Dominica's passport. That matter is for hearing on the 23rd of this month. And it has been, we are represented by Senior Counsel Ram Logan from
So you have been using the courts. You have been using.
The United Workers' Party is a party of law, the rule of law. We respect the courts, and so it doesn't matter whether we lose, we go back there. We go back. It is a branch that is supposed to help us uphold democratic principles in our country and in the region, and we respect it. So we always go there for advice. We don't always win, but we go.
You go. And so because I know that you have gone, somebody in the comment section was assuming that that Dominica did not go to the courts. And this is something for Barbadians to hear. Because I'm not sure yet what's happening with what has occurred in Barbados this year. Are they going to go to the courts? I don't know. But let me ask my Honorable Coretta McDonald from Guyana. Ma'am, have you guys used the courts? Have you gone to the courts about what you believe has happened? You know, you believe the election was rigged in 2020. You believe that they're again in 2025. Have you used the courts?
Yes, we've used our courts locally, and we've gone to the CCJ. But what you find happening in our courts locally, we won one and we lost about three of the matters that we put forward in court. When the matter, then the government, they appealed the matter, then they took it to CCJ, and they won one aspect at the CCJ. They lost one aspect. But let me tell you what, these matters were dragged out. They were dragged out. And so they were just there, just like baiting time and for the sake of carrying through the process, they were there, which kind of burnt you out. And then when the results returned, when the judgment was handed down, and after looking at all of the reports, then you hear a judgment that is not in your favor. People start to get tired and frustrated, and they no longer had any confidence in both the local court and the CCJ. Because what we found happening after, you saw all this big fancy dandy liming and ganging up and drinking up and so on, with even some of the folks who you think ought to be there to uphold the law. You saw that with them, with government officials. And so right away, persons were saying, you know what? I recognize why we couldn't win this. I recognize why the judgment went the way it went. Again, there are allegations that money, again, played a big role in some of the decisions that were handed down. And so in our country, our people have no faith in the CCJ. We have no faith in the CCJ. In some of our local courts as well, what we found the government doing in our local courts, they have been employing the judges and magistrates who will hand down judgments in their favor. And I can bring to the fore the issue of our Chief Justice, the Honorable Yonette Cummins, who went off on leave, and then we had the chancellor acting there, and then the young man, the other judge who acted up in that position, and we had the chancellor, as a matter of fact, who went off on leave, and so we had the other two. We had the Chief Justice acting up, and the junior judge was brought up and he was placed way above many of the senior judges to act in that position. When the chancellor returned, that young man refused to vacate the office so that the judge who was acting as chancellor, so that she can return to her office to perform duties again as the Chief Justice. And just like that, the chancellor was left there. And you know what she did? That honorable woman decided, I am not going to go through this kind of nonsense. She returned to work, and the next day, you knew what you heard. She tendered her resignation. And so this is all saying that these persons were programmed to sit there in wait of what would happen coming out of the September 1st elections. And so this is what you have playing over and over. But you know what? We have a difficulty in Guyana. The difficulty that we have is that we have CARICOM, this body that is supposed to be overlooking what happens in sister CARICOM states. And they're supposed to be there to pull their brothers and sisters up, because we all preach democracy, we all preach integrity and decency and transparency. But when you look across to my brothers on the left in Barbados, and when I look to my folks in Dominica, and when I look to my folks in Guyana, and when I look further afield, what am I seeing? A whole lot of misrepresentation of the oath that has been taken, and people are left to suffer. And all we do, we sit at heads of government meetings, and maybe we plan out strategies of how to continue to oppress our people in our individual territories, continue to oppress them. Maybe that's what they sit there to do. They sit there, and you have crime on the increase, poverty on the increase, and you're not hearing anybody from within CARICOM, the heads of government. You have CARICOM education ministers meeting, you have attorney generals meetings, all these government ministers, they have meetings. But what are the recommendations that you have coming out of those meetings and being implemented? Not anything much that can uplift the people. So in our minds here, while Guyana was one of the founder members of CARICOM, we have resorted to the position where we feel that CARICOM has lost its thing, and it's not CARICOM anymore, but it's CARIGON.
CARIGON. Wow, that is wow. That is rather serious there. So both countries have gone to the courts, and while you're at different stages, the point is that you did not sit down and take it. You have not sat down and taken it. You have gone to the courts, and I'm hoping that Barbadians are listening. Listen. It was so bad in Dominica that the last election, the largest opposition political party did not contest the elections. But let me just say something here, guys, before we close out. You talked about the Chief Justice in Guyana. I want to share with you something that occurred. The Chief Justice in Barbados right now was the chairman of our EBC, which is our Electoral and Boundaries Commission, like GCOM,
Payback time.
and our Electoral Commission, like Guyana. He was elevated to a Chief Justice after the elections.
Payback time. Same thing in Guyana.
Now listen, again in 2026, the chairman of the EBC was yesterday given a Senate position. The fresh elections that we just had, the chairman of the EBC in Barbados was given a Senate position. What are we the voters? What are we to think? What are we to think? I want Mr. George. Can you comment on that? I know it's not your country, but we are left trying to figure it out.
We've advanced. We're in 2026. Slavery was 400 years ago, but we've gone beyond those 400 years. We've gone back. All right, and just around when we were being transported through the Atlantic to Dominica and to Barbados. And incidentally, I did see a law, in Barbados, and it was instituted in the United States, that it was illegal to teach a Negro to read. That law might still be in your books. You might check the history. It came from Barbados, and it was adopted in the United States. But we've read, all right? We have instituted educational facilities all around the Caribbean. We have the University of the West Indies. And again, to me, this institution remains quiet in the face of all that is happening. And that is another blight on our thing. You cannot have, I just told you, the three leading commissioners on our electoral commission are attorneys at law. And they are CBI agents. When they sell, I think the law allows them 10% as a commission.
So hold a minute. Those that are on like your Electoral Boundaries Commission, they are CBI agents where they are selling.
Not the boundaries. The Boundaries Commission is a different commission. Ours is
your election commission.
That's correct.
Wow.
They are registered CBI agents.
What does that mean? Break it down.
What it means that you are an agent, and so if you sell 200 passports at $200,000, I can't do the math too fast, but 200,000 US per passport, that might be $4 million or $40 million. 10% of that is yours.
Wow. And they are responsible for the voters list?
They are responsible for the voters list.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah, so that's what is there. So
you they're agents to sell passport, but there's such a conflict of interest there.
Well, you see, that's why I said that in the Caribbean, not just Dominica, because I just averted to that Dominica seems to be a sub-region of Ghana. Ghana is big. So Demerara, Dominica could fit there. I think there's an island in one of your rivers that could take in
Wakenham, the island of Wakenham.
That could take Dominica. So we probably are a region. But in terms of the money that you asked me about and what is happening in Barbados, it is sad when I hear your story in Barbados, because Barbados is supposed to be the shining light for the Caribbean. And there's absolutely no reason for what you're saying here to be related to Honorable Mia Motley. Absolutely no reason. We have followed Barbados politics. We've prided ourselves on what it is Barbadians project in the Caribbean. And what you're telling me, I think it was not possible that could happen in Barbados. It could only happen in Dominica. But it should not happen in Dominica because, you see, we have great people in our Caribbean. We may not have liked them, Manley, Burnham, Eoli Blanc, Eric Gary, Eric Williams, your own Manley, not Manley, Grantley Adams. These were great people. And what did they do? They established institutions. They created CARICOM. They created a single economy. They created the UE. They established that because they felt that we could self-sustain ourselves. Where are we now? We're at the mercy of America. Imagine, just maybe divesting of it, but just imagine how Cuba has helped us. And now Cuba is being mercifully killed, Cubans. They are at the mercy of embargoes from the United States. And we in the Caribbean haven't got the moral authority to say we are going to support Cuba.
Yeah.
Cuba sent over 50,000 soldiers to Angola to fight the racist government of South Africa, to cause Nelson Mandela to be elected president as a black man in South Africa. Cuba has done honorable things in the world, and they've done honorable things in the Caribbean at their cost. And our leaders who talk about transparency, accountability, and integrity are, as a group, cannot say to the United States that what you are doing is wrong. And if you can do that to Cuba, you can do it to Dominica.
To Dominica,
you can do it to St. Lucia. You can do it to Grenada. And we're saying to you, we are not going, it's all right. You took us from Africa, brought us to America and the Caribbean as slaves, right? We fought you and we earned our freedom. We're not going back to slavery, but we're going to take the spirit of those who fought and decide that we are going to resist this re-enslavement of our people and this subjugation of our people. But the problem we have is that the elected officials who are sitting in government now have put away their skirts of integrity, their pants of morality, their shirts of accountability, and they're swimming in a pool of corruptness.
Yeah. Wow. Well said. Wow. I wish I could just take that quote right there for you. And we're closing this segment, you know, and I'm going to ask Miss Honorable McDonald to give the final word in this segment. That was so profound from Mr. George. From Dominica, what do you say to Barbadians? You've heard what you've seen. Dave, again, put up the list of irregularities, Dave, for me. Please put that up. And I want you to talk to Barbadians, because right now I don't even know if there's going to be a court case. I have not been able to get a correct word on that. So what are your thoughts tonight? What can you say to Barbadians, Coretta?
Well, you know, it's always easy for one to be able to say based on what is said to us. And I'm saying that because of this. We hear our prime ministers and our presidents, in the case of Guyana, talk about, oh, how much they love and how much they want to see development and what they want to see happen in their territory. But in actual fact, is that what you practice? Because we see on those global screens and behind those platforms, the big speeches that are being rendered there when you're outside, and when you come inside, when you're at home, you don't practice what you preach on the outside. And so I want to say to my Bajan friends, my Bajan brothers, my Bajan sisters, the time for glitter gone, because all that glitters is not gold. And you feel the same pressure just the same way we feel the same pressure. I often say to our teachers, because I'm also president of the Guyana Teachers Union, you cannot carry a party card to the supermarket when you go there to do your shopping. And so we must speak out against issues. And the only way we can right the wrong is by putting our X's in the correct spaces. You need to vote for persons who have your interest at heart. You need to vote for persons who are honest, reliable, and not for you to be carried away by grand fancy speeches. The days for that is over with. You need to remember the struggles that your ancestors made for you to be where you are today, so that you don't continue to be oppressed by the modern day oppressors. And if we can only stand together and speak out against all of these atrocities that are being meted out to us, it's only then that we are going to be able to say openly and say proudly that we are indeed free from slavery. But I must say that there is this no there is this tactful art of being able to swipe our brains, swipe our minds, and hypnotize us, if I can use that, to get us to follow through them. But I would want to say, just like the late Bob Marley said, until the philosophy which holds one race superior, and in this case, in this instance in Barbados, it's not about race, but it's about one group against another group inferior. Until that day, we will have confusion. Let me say it that way. We will have confusion when we don't see each other as equals. And so, Bajans, you are just as equal to your ministers, just as equal to your prime minister, just as equal to your attorney general. And so you should never feel that they are better off than you, and you must be able to speak out. And so let's band together with all of the recommendations that are posited there, that affected the outcome. You should be able to stand against that. Rally with the people who are ready to stand for your freedom, so that come tomorrow, come next week, come next year, the children who are coming, who are going to be the leaders of tomorrow, our leaders of tomorrow, they are going to have solid grounds to stand on, and not a ground that is filled with depth, and not a ground that is filled with inferiority complex, or a ground that is filled with air that says, look at me and follow me always, or I will not give you bread. We should be able to say, teach me to fish, so that I don't have to come to you all the time. And I want to pray that God will bless us and grant us the wisdom we need, so that we don't hear noise. We see action. We call for freedom. We want to be part and parcel. We want to feel belonged in what happens in our country. We want to be part of the decision making.
Wow, awesome. I thank you all so much for this conversation tonight. And I hope that, I really do hope, I'll be calling back, calling you guys again, because it is so important. I don't know about the others, but just sharing these notes tonight, and it's so important. I went to Dominica, and I knew right away, once it was happening, I said, yes, this is what is happening. An election is being stolen. This is what happened. Because you guys taught me in Dominica to look for it. And then I would have heard from Coretta right on the show. I knew exactly what was happening. The election was being stolen. And that, I personally believe, is what happened. Thank you all so very much for being with us tonight. We learned quite a bit. It's been quite educational, sir and ma'am. Thank you.
You're so welcome, and good night to you, and good night to everyone. And don't forget, Marcia, you owe us a visit in Guyana. So let's arrange that.
Did you all hear that? Anybody want to give me a ticket to Guyana? Listen, I was speaking to somebody, because I have a Guyanese that's going to come on to tell his story on Sunday, and I told him the same thing. I do owe you a visit, and I'm trying to get. You're going to help me to get the leader of the opposition on the show, as you did before. All right. Yes. So I leave that in your hands to help me to get him on. Thank you all so much.
All right. You're so welcome. Have a good night.
Yes, thank you. Wow, guys, that's eye-opening. That's reality. That is what happened in Dominica. Don't move. Don't move. This is we're going somewhere with this. We're going to have Dr. Tull, who did an amazing piece on his YouTube page called hold a second. Good night. Good night. Turn down your yes, please turn down your
no problem.
Yes, we weren't quite
No
ready
problem.
for calls, but I'll
I'll
take. We're not. Let me just say, we're not quite ready for calls. We'll take the calls after Dr. Tull comes on, and there's a short segment that I have to do. So I'll take a quick call right now, Ross. Go ahead.
Yeah. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. I'm just joining to say some things because I was very, very, very impressed with both people that spoke tonight.
Yes, sir.
I'm so impressed that everybody else understands and sees what's going on in the Caribbean, feeling what's going on to the people in the Caribbean, and what is being done by the electorate and the political directorate in the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
We are conscious, but we are still unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
Because today I was listening to Brass Stats, and what I learned from Brass Stats is that all of the people that is doing the things that they're doing know what is being done. But what they're doing is picking faces and deliberately annihilating them in order to have what they want to have. They're laying on the people and saying that they're this and they're that. They did the same thing to Pandel Short. They did the same thing to the guy, the union guy.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing the same thing to Mr. Ralph Torrance.
Yes.
They're annihilating the intelligent electoral people who come to represent black people. And
Mm-hmm.
all of them know, but their own personal enemy they're making because they have people that know what's going on and saying something about what's going on, and they're getting together and ganging together because even though they're saying that this government is no good,
Mm-hmm.
they're still trying to annihilate Ralph Torrance because it's personal.
Yes.
Not that they don't know what the government is doing, but they prefer to annihilate Ralph Torrance so that some other point in time, they can get their little personal glory.
Yes.
It's wickedness to the height. It's wickedness in high places. And the people know what they're doing. But nobody intend to get up and say anything. Like the gentleman said, slavery over and again. They did the same thing to Haiti. They're doing it in Barbados. And what they're doing, they're bringing people from all other Caribbean islands that never even like the Barbadian people, and they're using them to annihilate. When you could say the things they say about Mr. Torrance, it tells me, because they thought that he changed party. What about Chris Sinclair? What about Michael Lashley?
Yeah.
What is so good and great about them that isn't so good and great about Mr. Torrance?
It's all personal. As you said, it's personal.
The Barbadian people carrying such a deep hatred for one another.
Yes.
Can't you see? We screamed and bawled about the killings in Barbados. But we put back the same government. We screamed and bawled about the situation in the hospital. But we put back the same government. They spoke about it. She went to the hospital, came right back and called the election. If we can't see, we are blind. I don't understand what it would take in order to get the people on 30% of the vote. That is a whitewash. 30%. If you can whitewash a government 3 times without even getting 50% of the vote, something is mentally wrong in the country.
Yes. And I want to tell you, thank you so much for the call. And if you have anything to say a little later on, you can always call back. Call back
Yeah,
about like after
take your time and
9:30.
laziness. Have a nice night.
Yes, but thank you very much. As somebody said, the caller
Have a
is
nice
on
night.
point. The caller is right. Thank you for calling, Ross. It's always a pleasure
Yeah,
to have
strange,
you.
before I go, the strange thing that made me speak tonight is that I was listening to the lady on broadcast. They put certain people on broadcast to do a certain job. The lady on broadcast spent the whole day destroying Rafton. Have a nice night.
Awful, awful people. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And they you know, and they're supposed to, and then they say that I am biased because I come on and I speak out against the government.
Words don't say anything, but they're saying that Mr. Watson is a great.
I don't want to get into. Honestly, let's cut that conversation right now.
Envious member of Parliament.
Let's cut that. Let's cut that right there. I don't want to get into that part of the discussion.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much for calling. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Folks. You know what? Okay. Let me see. I will have to. Can you close off the call for us? I can't see where to close it. I think I just did. Yeah. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah. What I want to say is this to everybody, right? I'm trying to notice you came on the show tonight and we brought you facts. We brought you information. We brought you facts. You learned something. If you thought this show was educational so far tonight, give a thumbs up. We brought you somebody from Parliament. We brought you somebody who has worked on various, you know, from Dominica Nicholas George. I mean, his resume is this wide. He's been on the RSS. He's, you know, done a whole lot of work in Dominica electoral reform. He has fought for that. These are people that know what they're talking about. All right. And we brought that on here. We didn't come on here and talk about what we think about this person and that person and that. No, we are trying to lift the conversation higher. That's what we did tonight. That's what we did tonight, and that's journalism. How many of these media houses reached out to anybody in any other country to find out what happened in their elections? But we do it on this show, and I'm pausing to note that. We're not here talking about who is better than who and who don't like who. That's not what we're doing on this show. We are lifting the conversation. And that's the standard that we are setting on the show. It is standard. Yes, Beverly. Yeah. Give the thumbs up here. If you learned something, if this was educational for you tonight, if this was high quality, what happened on the show here tonight, give a thumbs up in the thumbs up section. I saw Valerie later said that this was, how great this was. Where was her comment? She says, Valerie said, talk about food. That was a feast of information. And that's what you're getting on this show. And that's why they want everybody and the mother trying to close down this show. Yeah. Yeah, they are bound, but we are not bound. We're not bound by anybody. We're going to bring you information, facts. If they are, I want to tell them, you are real journalists and you don't even communicate with the rest of the region. One phone call, I was able to get them. And I can put on another show with people from St. Vincent, St. Kitts, wherever. I can bring them all on here. One telephone call. And I'm not trying to brag. I'm making a point. I hope that doesn't sound as though I'm bragging. What I'm trying to say is, what is the motivation of these media houses? Nonsense. You have a thing, you have a whole program, and all you're talking about is, as you said, I don't listen to that nonsense anymore. I don't listen to that foolishness anymore, because it's nothing. It's not sending us anywhere. That's why they don't like this show. You're going to talk about the DLP and Mr. Thorne the entire time? Come on, move on from there. You're wasting people's time. Educate the people, motivate the people, lift them up, do something that live. Talk about the EBC and how we can make it better. How can we make our EBC better? No, you're going to use all those hours to tear down others. You are a waste of time. And I will say it. I don't listen to that program. I do not. I beg Dave, when we go in the car, turn it off, please. I don't want to hear nonsense. Lift the conversation. And I'm calling on everybody who is on new media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and all of that. Lift the conversation. Now, let's look at, just quickly, Dave, if you could put up what's on your WhatsApp, please. Yeah, let's go move to the next segment of the show. This segment of the show is very, very important. Why am I doing this? I am doing this evening not to try to, I'm not here to try a case, and I'm not here to find guilt of anybody. I'm doing this because we can't take the calls now. Remember I said the calls would be about 9:30. All right, so please, guys, we can't take the calls now. Okay, I know you're eager. Let's have the calls around 9:30. I just want to say that this is a mother, and tonight I want us collectively to carry the burden of this mother. I thought long and hard about doing this segment of the show. And I thought, all I had to think, if it was my son. Barbados has become a place where it's very difficult to get justice. The justice for a lot of us is delayed. That's what they're trying to do with the court, the case for Praise Academy. Delay and stretch it out until you don't. When justice feels delayed, we have a problem with perception, with power, and public trust. Right? What we are going to accept calls after. I'm not sure if that person is listening. We're going to accept the calls after 9:30. Okay, so just give us a moment here. So let me just read this mother's plea, and I know Barbadians understand what's going on here. You know, this mother, Dave, if you could go up so I could see her name again. Sonia Barker. She wrote the day of the swearing in. She said, this swearing in ceremony was most demoralizing for my family and I. Please don't listen to this with political lenses. Listen as a mother. Listen as a parent. Please. In 2020, my son sustained an injury at the hand of, this is what this person wrote, and I am just reading it. I don't know. We cannot accept calls. I don't think that people are actually listening to the show, and so they're calling. We're not accepting calls at this moment. Okay. In 2020, this Sonia Barker reports, My son sustained an injury at the hand of Shane Archer, son of Glenn Clark, who banged his head on the pavement at the UWI Cave Hill. She writes, we went to the QEH and upon hearing the diagnosis, we headed straight to the Central Police Station where a formal complaint was lodged. Up to this day, no charges have been brought. The mother is saying this. Glenn was banished to Canada and a new representative took over his constituency. Representing my son was his friend. She's alleging Glenn's friend was representing her son and mentor, Michael Lashley. As a result of the injury, my son suffered blunt force cataract and had to have artificial lens. Up to this day, there has been no justice for my son. My son was a member of the youth parliament and a student of law at UWI. At one time, he was PRO of the law faculty. I hope now Mr. Lashley is responsible for criminal justice, that his first order is for my son to receive the justice he deserves. Now Shane Archer is there, and the woman says, all puffed up like he never did anything wrong in his life. Loss of vision cannot go unpunished. I have been fighting this injustice without any way to resolve it because of who Shane is and who my son is. I want to know that punishment ever so slow will overtake, she's saying, the guilty at some time. I don't know. This is by Sonia Paulette Barker. She is a mother. She is a mother. And I want that to sink in. We don't care about who she voted for. We don't care if they're DLP or they're BLP. What is supposed to happen to this young man who's lost his sight? My God. What is to happen to this young man who lost his sight? What is going to happen to this case? I don't know. We're not trying to try a case here on YouTube. This is about something deeper. We're hearing this citizen, this mother saying, I feel the system is not working for me. And I know many of you watching, you feel the system is not working for you either. And so this becomes a national issue. We must be clear. These are allegations that are being made by the mother. They are not court findings. They are not convictions, what I just read. They're not what they call judicial determinations. But the reality is that when allegations remain unresolved for years, it is only reasonable that the public begin to ask questions. Not about the personalities like the Michael Lashley or this same Shane Archer. Not about them, but about the process. Here are the real questions. If we move away from the names, the Michael Lashley or the Shane Archer, who's now a minister, how long should criminal investigations take? The fastest investigation I saw was the investigation, read the Prime Minister's brother who died when he went to do a colonoscopy. It was said that he died. He had some issue with his colon. He developed a problem and he died. God rest his soul. And again, I mean, our heartfelt condolences to the family, the Motleys. But that case came around so quickly, tried so quickly. But there's so many in this country who they have cases in court that has been drawn out. How long should criminal investigations take? What explains the delays in charging decisions? How does the office of the DPP communicate status to the complainants? What recourse does a family like this family have if they feel a case is stagnating? What should they do? There are too many of these cases. Now, what should happen? We have a conflict. What conflict of interest protocols exist if lawyers or political actors later assume public office, like in this case, in this allegation, where it's alleged that the perpetrator has now become a minister and the lawyer for the victim is now in that government that the alleged perpetrator is part of. Will this woman ever get justice? Should there have been mandatory disclosure of these kinds of issues before people are accepted to public office? You know, in small societies like Barbados, often relationships overlap. Because you heard her say, well, no, the lawyer is now part of the government that the alleged perpetrator is part of. So we have relationships overlap, politics, law, family, business. And the reality is that even there's no wrongdoing, perception matters. Justice in the small community and wherever must not only be done, but it must be seen to be done. You understand that? Justice must not only be done, but it must be seen to be done. If in this case, the complainant believes that the proximity to power, they believe it will affect the outcome, what is going to happen? The public confidence in the court system is going to weaken, right? In the judicial system. And that affects democracy because the confidence weakens and the democracy weakens. Earlier in the show, we spoke about electoral integrity as we were talking about the issues with the EBC and the GCOM in Guyana and the EC in Dominica. Now we are speaking about justice integrity. Different systems, you know. But guess what, my brothers and sisters? The same principle. It's a principle there. It's trust. Because when citizens begin to believe that the systems protect the powerful and frustrate the ordinary, something dangerous begins to grow. And a lot of people are not believing that the judiciary is clean, that it is separated from politics. And so a lot of people do not believe that that system protects the weak. They believe it protects the powerful. To everybody involved in this, if the system is functioning properly, transparency will prove it. To those like this mother who feel unheard, I hope that there will be some kind of legal pathway for you. To the institutions who can help this mother, understand that your silence will breed suspicion. Communication builds confidence. Somebody needs to say something to the public about this, because it doesn't feel right. We don't know. We can't make any judgments. But the perception, the way this looks, hurts as a mother. We worry for this mother. So tonight is not about any condemnation. Again, we're just asking about accountability. That's it. What happens to this young man? What happens to Sonia Barker? What happens to even Shane Archer, whose name is out there? We're being told it's alleged banged somebody's head on a pavement every time he goes as a minister. Will people see this? What are they going to think? You know, what is going to happen? What about the lawyer who is now over crime? The minister, I don't know, remember the exact title. Minister Michael Lashley. How does that look? What's the perception here? Somebody has, I can read this because it's not, doesn't have any name. They said, let me tell you, a diplomat's daughter killed a student at something. They were allowed to leave Barbados. My former workmate never was the same. Her sibling died. I don't have to see, I believe this person. Because people of, sometimes it can look to us, people who don't have people of a certain pedigree around us. And it just seems that way. So without casting any, you know, any condemnation on anybody, because I can't judge. I'm not a lawyer and I'm not doing a YouTube case. I'm not doing that. I am just talking about perception and that a statement. How many of you believe that a statement needs to be made about this? It doesn't look good. It doesn't feel good. It's not good for Shane. It's not good for his father, Glenn Clark. It's not good for the Michael Lashley. A last comment I'll read on this. The judiciary is not protected from the government. Oh gosh, you know that so well. Because if the Chief Justice was the chairman of the EBC of 2022, how can it be clean? This situation is so sad. A mother crying in the wilderness of wicked, corrupt people. Oh my God. Let's go to Mr. Tull, who's here. I told him to come in for a few minutes. Dave, I'm working Dave so hard. Dave, if you could put up his YouTube post our presentation. He had an 8 minutes presentation on his YouTube channel, which Dr. Tull is going to tell us about. And it's excellent. And I want to put up the YouTube channel, and I want to say to everybody, please go over there and give him a subscribe and a like, please. Everybody, this is what we're talking about, the citizens rising up, everybody, everywhere. And on this channel, we are taking the leadership in recognizing everybody who's standing up, and we are saying we are all part of this big loyal opposition. All right, so Dave, what is the name of, go right ahead, Mr. Tull, and tell us the name of, one second, Dave, can you actually put up the website itself? Thank you.
Good night. Sorry, go ahead. Good night, everyone. I'm trying to help out Dave here by looking back. I think I'm actually working on a video, hopefully to go up tonight as well. So let me see if we can find, yes, let me go back to the channel, please. Right. That video that you're talking about is entitled Barbados Votes facing the aftershock of government illegitimacy. And by the way, for those, I don't think you yourself knew this, there's actually one I put it before the election, and it's entitled Barbados Votes 2026, Biblical Perspective on Government and Candidate Choice for Christian Voters. I was very pleasantly surprised at the number of views got of that, 1.4 thousand at this stage. But I don't think a lot of people saw that. I think that because of the content that is appropriate and applicable right through, I think people should see that one as well. All right. But the one you're talking about here is facing the aftershock of government illegitimacy. All right. And in that, the main theme of that, we took a look at the results that were available at that time. And then we argued that based on the turnout, that technically speaking, and at one point I had in it a line that says a technical illegitimacy, but it is illegitimate in the sense that the number of persons out of those who could possibly have voted in Barbados is extremely small, probably between the order of 15 to 20%, I think it is. All right. Now, so that's the theme of it. It's illegitimate, and we explain what that meant really. The word illegitimate is used sometimes as a synonym for illegal, but in politics, the definition is a little more nuanced than that.
Okay, so are you saying that the government is an illegitimate government?
Yes, we are saying that, but we don't mean illegal in the strict legal sense of the word. In politics, that word doesn't mean. We actually put that. I don't know if you can advance the screen so you see the point where I showed an excerpt from a bit of research we put on the screen to show people what else to find.
Good morning, Barbadian.
You probably have to go down to the middle of
watching the first video.
All right.
Dave, you have to turn off the audio. Thank you.
Yeah, just turn off the audio and then scroll down.
26 election.
All right, while he's looking, I will just continue to talk until he finds it. We actually showed there how illegitimacy in politics and government is defined. And I'm going to tell you something interesting. Someone rebutted the statement that we made about that. And what they tried to do was what we call a logical analysis of what we're saying.
But before you go by what they rebutted, tell us what it is in a nutshell. This video is actually saying.
No, basically, I said that. I said that it's saying that because the BLP did not get quote unquote 50% or more of the possible electorate, that you can argue that it is quote unquote illegitimate in a sense. And don't mix up illegitimate with illegal because they don't mean quite the same thing. That's basically the gist of the video, really. It's the second part. The first part dealt with the results and so on, that kind of stuff. But that's what we argued in that segment of the video. And the reason why I have to go on to say why somebody rebutted it is because somebody's saying that legitimacy opposite is, technically speaking, when the party gets 50% or more of the actual voters. Now, it is a right technique. You have to be very careful here. All right. Now, I have to agree with that. I conceded that. That is true in practice. But if that were the only criterion for determining legitimacy, here's what the problem would be. If 800 people go to vote, and the BLP had gotten, let's say, 50 or 60%, would we say that is really a legitimate government? You see, it doesn't make any sense. When we extend that logically, it doesn't make any sense. It must have something to do with the number of persons who were eligible to vote, which is the continuing problem in our country, because up to now, we still don't have an official amount of persons who are supposed to be on the registered voters. We still don't have that number, right? So even the turnout ratio percentage is still in question, quote unquote.
Because we don't know how many did the EBC say how many persons voted in total yet?
But they haven't said that either. What people are using, what I'm going to show in my video I'm putting tonight is that what we're showing is the data collected by Barbados today. which even Wikipedia has picked up on, because that's all that we're running on, all right? And it's going to show you basically that 100 and, if I just slip to my spreadsheet here for a minute, 101,838 persons voted, apparently, when you add the numbers in the Barbados Today data. And the Barbados BLP got 71% of that. Sorry, 69.8% of that. And the Democratic Party got 27.3%. I'll just ignore the others for the time being. Okay. So what we're saying is that we can do all those numbers and so on and say, oh yeah, the LP got 69% or 7%. But the point is 69% of what? That's the question. You see? And that's why the question of legitimacy has to come up. Now, people like those pundits like at university will tell you, but legitimacy has to be based on that 50% or more people of the vote has actually gone to a particular party. Yes, that is how people usually define it, but that cannot be, I'm arguing, yes, thank you, the only you can probably go further down, you'll see when we talk about legitimacy as well. That can't be the only criterion, because if that was so, I say again, if 1,000 persons had gone out to vote and the LP got 900, you will still have a problem, because it's only 900 people who have voted for them. So you have to take in consideration how many people were eligible to vote and who did not vote. Now, I'm not blaming either party for those who did not vote. We got very fair here. But you can't sit back and say that's all right, because it can't be all right when really a minority of people, technically speaking, that's what it really is, a minority of people have actually voted for the government. The ironic thing is that people say democracy is the tyranny of the majority. But here's the funny thing, in this case, democracy is the tyranny of the minority, if you think about it. You see the point? So a lot of people are turning up themselves and getting all tied up because you make this argument, and they're not thinking. I think Byron's not thinking very deeply. That's the problem. And as a retired educator, I'm very concerned with that. You have to start emoting so much and think. And as I encourage people, challenge even me. That's what you tell me. You can challenge me, because I'm not afraid to defend myself. But you got to come good, right? But you got to start thinking about what is going on. I was very amazed at what we were talking about when he came on. And I'll send you a verse there that you can probably use later on, because what you were seeing with the justice is not surprising to me. Right? You can get a whole breakdown in not only justice, but education. So look, maybe you've got a real job on our hands coming up. Don't fool yourself. Right? But that's the point we're making. Right? You have to ask questions about whether this government is quote unquote legitimate. So I went on to ask, can they sign loans on our behalf? Is it binding on people of Barbados? You really don't got to ask these kinds of questions, because that's what's going to happen. More money is going to be borrowed. You know that very well. So are we going to sit back and feel okay about it really as the debt piles on? Right? When you make other agreements, United Nations, we go to United Nations to speak. Are we speaking on behalf of all Barbadians? You see, you really got to start asking questions now. So this voter apathy is the thing I'm dealing with mostly in the video that's going to tonight. I'm going to unpack that completely. All right? Because people need to understand where it comes from, what causes it, and if I'm also going to offer one or two solutions to the problem. Right? That is basically what we're saying in that video. So we got a problem on our hands, really. Right? There are lots of people who jump into the chat and start quarreling and arguing, that kind of stuff, really. I really don't have much time for those people, really. You have to learn to think. All right? You can't think if you're emotional all the time, really, and you jump on and assume that I am a member of the DLP. I don't understand why he said that makes him think so. It's just
exactly.
Crazy. That's crazy stuff in Barbara,
Yeah,
no wonder what, sir, because it's just crazy.
I know you as somebody who normally supports independent parties like myself. That's how I know you. But because you are now speaking about something that impacts the DLP, then you're labeled as DLP. You see that? It's the same thing that happened to me. Well, somebody, I was trying to get Dave to, what's the name of the website, your YouTube page, because I don't know, it seems like Dave is not able to get it up. What's the name of your
Right.
website?
Okay. Yeah, I was going to tell you that, Ray. It is called, because this is not what we intended, it's called Gospel of the Kingdom. That's what's the current name, because you can change names on YouTube pretty often, right? But that's what is entitled Gospel of the Kingdom, because you see a lot of other videos there about things to do with Antichrist and all that kind of stuff, right? Because that's originally what the channel was about, you see. But I thought that I would come and deal with the election, and surprisingly, people have kind of warmed to what we're saying. But I want to let people know I am here to represent. I'm a believer, and I see everything, especially government, through the eyes of the Scripture. Right? I'm not apologizing for that. As a matter of fact, before I forget, let me send you, Marcia, a verse you can share with your audience, really, that deals just with the problem that you were talking about just now. Actually, it's Isaiah chapter what? Chapter 59. You can take it and use it at your discretion. I think I get, okay. It's going to come to you looking a little bit obscure, but right?
Yeah. Well,
so
yes,
I can leave
thank you.
Thank you got that?
So much. Well, yeah. I'm doing many things. I'm going to check it very soon. Let me just say to callers that callers, you can call, because I told you about 9:30 you can call. Go ahead. Those who want to call, go ahead, and let's see if we can get in as many calls as possible. If we keep everything tight, we should be able to get some calls in. Go ahead and take the calls now. Thank you. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Tull. Dr. Tull, you were saying something?
I really actually want to read that thing about legitimacy for you.
We have a caller. We have a caller. Just hold
go ahead. Great. Lost again?
Caller, welcome to the Marcia Week Show.
Hi, good night to you, Marcia. Good night to the loyal opposition and everybody out there.
Good night. Thanks for your patience. We were in the middle of dealing with something when you called earlier. Go right ahead.
Oh, not a problem, Marcia. It's all good. Good night to the gentleman, if he's still there.
Yes.
Okay, good. First of all, Marcia, I really want to say thank you for all that you have done from the time I first met you till now. Right? I don't think you are properly, I don't think that you have ever been properly thanked, you know. And I publicly want to say thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
For everything that you have done. And the two people that you brought on earlier, wow, I hope you'll get to bring them on again. A wealth of knowledge. Very interesting points that one can build on. To the gentleman there, I agree with him. People need to be critical thinkers and not jump into things because of emotions. Just like the caller you would have had on earlier, the first caller, Marcia, that just came on, right? The particular program was very one-sided, and it sought to focus only on the opposition, the Democratic Party opposition, and the opposition leader. Okay? It sought to only focus on that. And I agree with this gentleman here. I hope to hear him really unpack what voter apathy really, really and truly is, unpack it for what it really is. The percentage of the vote, 30%, Marcia, and all they are listening, 30%. That is the lowest voter turnout that we've ever had in the history of political politics. And you can go as far back as 1961. I'm sure the gentleman there will agree with me. And you go down through the years. And if you really do the comparisons and analytical check of that, there's a particular website with all of that. I challenge you to go and check it out yourself, and you will see what I'm telling you. Right? And if you do the mathematics, do the comparison, you will see that what the ruling government, is bragging and boasting about. It's really nothing to brag and boast, as this gentleman rightly is saying. Do the analysis and not the turnout, right? Where I worked, we had only 68 men voting, 73 women. The majority of the voters were women. And the majority of them were of Muslim origin. You understand? And that caused to cause ones to take back to wonder. So, when people are talking and labeling and want to profile, I will sum up by saying this. I don't know if you and the gentleman would agree, but I do believe that this last election, or thereof, I don't even know how to call this, was more in the presidential style. Because if you know, in a presidential election, the focus is on one person.
Right. You're really, it's
He's breaking up. Yeah.
It's very hard to hear you now, but I think we got the gist of what you're saying. Thank you so much for calling, and we want to leave the line open for others, but it's there is some interference there. But thank you for calling. Thank you so much. Okay, God bless you.
No problem.
Yes, thanks. Yes, thank you, caller. We had some interference there, and we still want to leave the line open. But thanks for calling. Those of you who called earlier, feel free to call back at this time. Okay, let's see if we can get a word in there quickly, Dr. Tull, before we get the next caller.
Yes, I'm glad that people begin to see the point we're making, because we have to go beyond the received wisdom from the people on KFL that keep spoken at us, really. And by the way, none of those pundits are going to tell you about the legitimacy of this government, because they can't dare say that. Right? But as an issue got already, they're not going to say that. Trust me, Dr. George, but not going to tell you that. Right? So we have to learn to think for ourselves. I think that's a big problem with it. We got to learn to think with capital letters.
Yes.
Okay, and you're right, it's critical thinking. In fact, I'm going to put up a question in the next video about something I'm going to show them. Marcia, can I hear you?
Welcome to the caller. This is their time.
Yeah,
so don't forget what you're saying. Just hold it.
It's okay.
Miss McLean normally writes it down so she catches it, Thanks for understanding. Caller, welcome. And it's a pleasure having you. What's on your mind?
Yes, welcome. My name is Ronald.
And happy belated birthday.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
And it's like one positivity to you and the gentleman Stella Dave also. What you really call to see it, right? That caller is very wrong. Because a lot of people come out to vote. Their name was taken off the list to get turned around or wrong. If it didn't work that day at the polling station, I would have agree with that, but I would disagree because people sabotage. People will sabotage. And the honest truth, I believe that the laws that government should be there, or whoever had involvement should be charged, and there should be a drag to the law courts. That's the gospel truth. Because they're frustrating the system of Barbados, or frustrating people of Barbados. Like being straight and real tonight. So if you can't get through the Supreme Courts, Caribbean Court of Justice, or international courts. And I believe that the rest of the parties should join forces together and make this thing happen.
So you're advocating that they go to court about it?
Exactly. And fight a very powerful case. If it don't be heard in Barbados, Caribbean Court of Justice, or the Holy Civil Crime Building to international courts, which is Washington, D.C.
Yeah, so okay. Thank you, caller. Very well said. Thank you so much.
All right, blessings to you all.
Yes, thank you. God bless.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Again, the line is open, and thank you. We're asking people to call. Go ahead, call and share your views. You got a lot of information tonight, and part of the education is this discussion that we're having right now. So this is your time to call in. Go ahead, Dr. Tull, while we wait on some other callers.
Yes, and like the caller said, we have to learn what our rights are. And that's one of the problems. We have to raise thank you, Marcia. I agree with the gentleman who called before, that we have to thank you for opening up this whole new world to the people that you can actually speak. Can the subaltern speak, as the African record said? Come on,
Good night, yes. Good night, caller.
Yes,
Welcome. Thanks for calling back.
Yes. Yes, a blessed good night. I just paused for good cause. I'm at work right now.
Oh wow.
But what I really want to share about though is rejoicing. You know, we have to be very careful about how we rejoice. You know, are we rejoicing at the fact that there is still no republic constitution? That there's going to be a draft constitution? No. Are we rejoicing because there's still no word on the houses? Are we rejoicing because all of the questions that we had to ask was not answered? So I'm really not necessarily annoyed, but I'm wondering, what are we really rejoicing about? You know, the election gone, yes, but what are we really rejoicing about? That's my input, Marcia. Thank you very much.
Very thought-provoking. Thank you so much, and thanks for your patience in calling back. Thank you. The callers are on point tonight, man. Go right ahead, Dr. Tull.
Yes, I'm not going to let anything in the bag, but in the video I'm going to put up, hopefully tonight, maybe late tonight, I'm going to put a picture up on that screen and use my AI technology to voice what the person said, and then I'm going to ask people who you think that is. And I'm going to show them a flag. Hear the word I'm using? A flag. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Don't tell them, because we're going to look for guys. You're going to go over to Gospel. Go over, find a YouTube channel that's called Gospel of the Kingdom. Gospel of the Kingdom. I think Dave put it in the comment section, and he's going to release a video tonight. Let it go viral. Send it all over the place. Like and subscribe to the channel. We are doing this together. When I tell you we are doing this thing together, I told you to go over to D2 and go and like what he's put out. We are going to do it together. You understand? We're going to find what we have in common, and we are going to work with it. If the traditional media don't want to do it, doing nonsense with the resources that they have, we will use new media, and we will educate the people, motivate the people, mobilize them, and agitate the people. All right? Very good. So that's go to Gospel of the Kingdom and let us do this thing. And this man is a man from a church. Sometimes you say the church isn't doing anything, but look at what he's doing. But go right ahead. Let me not take up your speaking time.
Yeah, I want to let people know I don't consider my strength to be in doing videos, but I think I've had a wrestle with the Lord about doing videos, and my strength is in writing. All right. But I've had to wrestle that way, and I've decided I'm going to take the challenge and I'm going to do videos. I do everything myself. And I thank God for all the things I've learned as I've been a teacher, really have to come present me. So I sit down and I do all this stuff myself. It's really time consuming. Don't put this out.
Is it okay if you tell us how young you are?
I'll be 17. No, I've got a problem. I'll be 17 by the end of this month. I'm a February born person.
And you are, did you hear that? So those of you, remember at the beginning of the program, I said to my wonderful people who are listening, we need people who are retirees. People who you're already you're on your pension, you're home, you have some time. Go on the Parliament website. Barbadians are educated people, especially a lot of you older ones. A lot of the younger ones now, we're having problems where they can't even read. But a lot of you know who you are. Take some time out of your knitting and your crocheting and your gardening. And I want you to find the Parliament website and find out when the bills are coming up. You smart enough. You smart enough, read through it. And you, even if you send a little portion of it and send it to me and let us do it together. I want the citizens to be energized and activated. I want citizens energized and activated to do what they need to do in this time. This man is going to be 70 and he's putting out videos. Come on, guys, we can do it. We have a caller on the line. Good night, caller.
Good night, Ms. Weeks.
Yes, good night.
Good night to you and your group. First of all, as a born Barbadian who has been living in Jamaica.
We can hardly hear you. We can hardly hear you. Can you speak out? We can barely hear you. You have to speak.
Come closer to the mic. Yeah.
Your phone or your laptop. Look.
Can you hear me better? Can you hear me better now?
A little.
Oh yes. Can you hear him, callers, viewers? Go right ahead. Talk as loud as you can.
So I was just saying, as a born Barbadian who has been the reverse to yourself, living in Jamaica, I just want to say you're doing an excellent job. To Barbados, I can see that your heart is definitely in the right place with all of what you're doing to bring awareness. And I support what you're doing. I just want to raise a few issues where I think we are going wrong, because the whole idea about what your show is about finding solutions and getting an understanding and grips of stuff. I think the main problem we have in Barbados is voter education. Apart from voting, nobody really follows the processes of how things work in Parliament. Only through like discussions with shows like your show. We have, again, the elder persons you're calling for would be the ones that are tuning into this around the world or from within the
diaspora
geographical area of Barbados. I think we need to have education put in secondary schools in the first 3 years, 11, 12, and 13. And this point was on brass tacks the other day as well, but the moderator was saying that there's too many things being studied. What we need to do is use the opportunity now to educate each other. However, there's something as important as the voting process and what one small vote means 5 years down the line and all those things required.
Yeah, don't lower your voice and keep your voice up, because you're saying some very interesting points there. Keep your voice up.
We have a very basic understanding of that process about past the X. For example, I hear everyone going, "Oh my gosh, what is this that the Prime Minister is suggesting?" Blah, blah, blah. Whereas if everybody has been reading the Constitution, they would know that it's absurd to know what the Prime Minister is suggesting about changing legislation. When we've had a marijuana bill that has been 3 years old, Trinidad joined the bill after we did, and we were one of the last in the Caribbean to do it. It took Trinidad 3 months looking at the bill to pass legislation. We are still fighting with that bill, and there are businesses pending, waiting to get started, kick-started in Little Barbados that they don't have anything. We import everything. There are so many different other bills to pass. The legislation that everybody was calling for from 2018 for transparency. Why would you win an election and come to Barbados and say the most important thing is crossing the floor? Where is my democratic right? Suppose I wanted to run for Parliament, and suppose I wanted to run, for argument's sake, for the losing team or for the opposition team that would now be coming back in. And I could not get to assist. I live in your constituency. And for the better part of the world, I had to cross the floor, and I would have gotten immediate ease and access to whatever services my constituents needed. I don't have to go back to the polls to come and vote to expense the country again. We've hosted 3 elections. Elections is a very expensive process. These are things we don't understand. Every stage that was put up for all these big events would have cost at minimum $150,000 US dollars. It's charged every one of those stages that would have went up from the start of the picnic to the very last one. That is going to be the basic cost of putting that up. And that is just for the entertainment surrounding the elections. We've had not even 10 years. So one election, by rights, Barbados should have the expenses related to one election. Because this same government would have still been in power, I believe, whether they've held 2 elections or not. It gives a false sense of security. It gives a false sense of hope to those in Barbados, and it makes us really seem that we're tired of the voting process. We're really and truly tired of an unnecessary process, because there was no need to call elections smack buying this early at this particular point. If I had called elections, even for my own benefit, and I saw that there was a problem with the voters list, if I wanted to be fair and I wanted the process to be democratic and not, we get very defensive when we hear the term dictator because it's tied to persons like Saddam Hussein and negative media. but the meaning of the word dictator or dictatorship, that's how Barbados is functioning in government. We have a government by design that's called democratic. Are we even truly a republic? There's been no referendum.
So many issues, sir. So many issues.
There are too many. There are too many. You know, and we're looking at how we're talking about what we're discussing is basically, again, comes down to the lack of political education. When you're going to talk about parties being involved, you're talking about proportional representation.
Right.
Regardless of what makes us get mobile, whether we voted because our sister voted, we voted because this is my party, the Constitution never recognizes that for a good reason. Because they didn't want this very same thing. People become indoctrinated. People wanted you to go to the polls, be conscious about what you're doing. There's no party assisted, putting party in the ballot box next to the name. Why? If you following the rules on election day, not wearing colors, and then following what you need to do conscientiously, making a conscious decision, how do you not know the name of the person you're going to vote for?
Right. I understand what you're saying. You know what I will do in lieu of time? I would love, honestly, I would love for you also have a longer conversation with you. So I'm going to give you a call right after the show. I'm going to talk with you because what you're saying here, I think it's important for us to, because this is part, there are some things that we want to suggest as citizens going forward. And I think this, having voter education as part of our curriculum, I think, and which is really civics. You know, I think that we've been saying that on the show. We need that. So let's have a deeper conversation about it, sir. Only because of the time.
One final thing.
Yes, go right
Everybody
ahead.
also is up in arms about, for example, I'm very impressed with Tyra Trotman as a young person, holding her medal, whatever the case may be. Being a person that, again, with this anti-crossing the shore legislation, I just wanted everybody to understand that in all rights, what may have been happening in the past was a matter of the Prime Minister winning the team, the hearts of her team members over. So this selection of somebody to be minister, I think with Chris Sinclair, whatever the case is, versus picking an elected official. Would Barbados be up in arms if Jeremy Stephen was the person that was implemented in that place? Because at the end of the day, we've grown so accustomed to having it our way and, we vote for this. We don't understand what we are voting for. We don't vote for a prime minister. We don't vote for our president. We don't have a vote pass. And because our social levels have dropped so low and declined, once upon a time, the elder persons you're calling for would be putting their grandchildren in the laps and helping them to listen to this show that you have going on. We don't have that connection. The grandparents now are a lot younger, in the 50s and 40s, getting ready to go out. We are now in a case where we are trying to get babies or trying to create a space where we can raise our children. In reality, if you don't have jobs and job security, how are you going to ask somebody to have a child, to have a hungry child when we ourselves are already hungry?
I mean, correct. But you know what? I think that people are, when you go back on, you'll see how people are talking about the civics that need to be taught, etc. Somebody is saying it's taught in primary school. I would, Lisa Cox, give me a call. Give me a call on that, Lisa.
It's introduced in primary school, and your brain is not developed at a stage where you can take on politics as a child. You're still going to be following. You will naturally become rebellious going towards your teens, which is why I'm saying 11, 12, 13. If you do that as a subject, it makes that young adolescent very aware of that process. Then when adults are having conversations, they're not so far away from the scale. Primary school is an introduction. That's like religious knowledge. When you taught the Lord's Prayer in primary school, you could take that right throughout your life. But when you actually stop and take conscious reconciliation of what you're saying in the actual Lord's Prayer, by the time you only get into secondary school itself or your late primary school stage, when you're really thinking about what you're doing for all those years. So, what I'm speaking about specifically is Caribbean politics and ethics. That needs to be taught as a subject. That can't be taught at primary school. Have a good night, man.
Yes. Very well said. Wow. Dr. Tull?
Yes.
Wow, that's a
call. Let me sorry.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I want to respond quickly to a few things said there. And you have to remember, my career has largely been in education, although I've had the opportunity to go and do consultants on the sphere. So when you talk about those things in schools where I'm going to come on to it, I have a problem with trying to put everything that we think children to learn in the school curriculum. I got a problem with that. If they can't even grapple with some of the things that are core, you really can't do that. Really, I don't think that's the place for it. There is such a thing called lifelong learning. And the call is right in the sense that political parties are embarrassed of somebody else doing. They don't understand enlightened self-interest. You see, because if I had a political party, I'd make sure I teach the people about the political system so that when they go to vote, they understand what they're doing. And if they don't vote, by the way, they understand what they're doing. So I think it's in the interest of political parties, especially quote unquote third parties, to begin to educate people. The average American can tell you what his constitutional rights are. Why is it that Barbadian children, adults can't tell you that? That don't make any sense to me, right? But you don't necessarily get these things in the school. People belong to all kinds of groups in America. They have all kinds of organizations. And one of the problems we have in Barbados is that we do not have, there's a term I use for it in another video, right? But we don't have counterbalancing systems in the society, you see? And because of that, there are only a few institutions really that left over from the colonial past that we're relying on. We can't do that. We've got to organize themselves, teach themselves, and learn how to navigate the society and politics. I strongly disagree with those, especially in church, who think that politics is not the business of the church. That's nonsense, actually. Because everything you do every day, if you think about it, is affected by government. So I can't see how you can say that you're going to get involved in it. Because you're actually involved in it. You don't have to get involved. You're actually involved in it already. So that idea has to go through the door, and I have very strong rebuke for those pastors who tell their parishioners that that's foolishness, right? That's a misconstrual of what's in the scripture. You can't be salt and light if you don't participate in what's going on. That's not possible. We're not saying you should go and run for an elected post, but you have to get involved in what's going on. And there's some people very dishonest because there's some people who work in government, because you think government is just the people in parliament, They're working government, but still tell you they're not going to vote. I mean, this is crazy stuff, And then they say nothing involved. But if you work in government and civil service, you are in government. Well, that don't make any sense. You see? So we got some real strongholds. And Marcy, that word we've been hammering on in the prayer session, right? We got some real strongholds about this place that we got to knock down on these programs here. We really have to. Right.
Yeah. Well, we're doing the best that we can, and I promise the people that's what we're going to be doing. And tonight I thought was a lot of meat, a lot that people can take away and go and research themselves. As the earlier part of the program where we had, lots of data coming out of Guyana, coming out of Dominica. Some of which we would have done on the show already. A lot of what was said on Dominica, I spent hours and hours reading through the documents on their electoral reform and documents that came from their observers and of their elections, that came from other agencies outside of Dominica. And so I think that tonight was very rich. We're not using it to tear down. We educated people tonight, and what we did with the issue with the mother is to cause us to think about our justice system without casting any blame on anybody. We didn't prosecute a case on here. And this is a kind of quality of shows that you can expect as we continue. On Friday night, we're going to be on at 7 o'clock. We're trying to get Mr. The name is gone from me, but Jason Phillips. And he was a candidate for St. Peter, launched a fantastic campaign there, and using social media, zero budget, and just using his Facebook, and did a tremendous job in his campaign. He's going to come on and tell us all about it, his infectious personality and how we got it done. And on Sunday, we have a very important show that's going to happen. Dave, I don't know, can you put up the Guyana poster? Are you there? Check the studio chat. I was asking for the poster from Guyana. Right. So that what's happening. I don't know how many of you, if you had seen going around, there is an entrepreneur in Guyana who he was imprisoned twice. They tried to take his license from him. In fact, they took his license from him because he refused to sell a part of his business to an Indian businessman, a black guy. And he is alleging that, you know, his that the government is working you know, with that Indian businessman to destroy him and his business. And so he's going to be joining us on Sunday. So we have a very, very interesting show that is going to happen. He's been targeted, he's been jailed, and he is saying his allegation is that there's been no justice, and he's calling the names of the you know, the present government in Guyana, and really you know, speaking of what has happened to him. And so he's going to be on the show telling us his story. This is on Sunday. All right. So when you see the announcement come out, share it with everybody. Like, you know, like the show, subscribe. Go and hit the subscribe button if you haven't heard done so. Angela is saying that she saw the story. Yes. When you hear him, you're going to realize that you've seen it before. Okay. And so that's on Sunday. And on Friday, we have Jason. And hopefully Jason Phillips, we can get some more of the candidates to be on. In the meantime, go and check the Parliament website tomorrow, folks. Go and check it. What bills are coming up? Every Tuesday, they have Parliament. We are it. Nobody's coming to save us. This is it. We are it. Dr. Tal, we are it. You're doing what you're to do. And at 70 years old, I mean, the rest of us, we can do this. We can do this.
Yes, we can. We can. And I want to thank you again for spawning.
The final word to you. Go right ahead.
Spawning a whole generation of podcasters, including 70-year-olds. All right. And you know, we're not competing, but a lot of people got to understand this is not competition, we're not competing with each other. See, we need to get a critical mass of people speaking on different platforms, but focusing laser focus on the issues. At this stage, we have passed this thing about who is one, not one. We're really dealing with the future of Barbados because we got to focus on that. Because if we don't correct some of these things now, right at the beginning, we're going to end up with the same problem again. And I'm hoping that we can join the rest of the Caribbean, because the problem we're facing here, by the way, is the same problem we're facing, as you know now, in other parts of the Caribbean. So this is not a Barbados movement anymore. This is a Caribbean thing. Now, I'm not going to tell you what the site is, but I already dealt with issues of democracy and parliamentary democracy and so on another website. I'm not going to tell anybody what it is, because I want to redo the videos so they look a little better. But I've already dealt with those. I spent hours dealing with those things, really. And things like proportional representation, which we're going to talk about again. That is one we got to bring to the fore, because as you will hear, that is really the one thing we could do. If we can get that done, that will solve a lot of the problems that we have been working on really. And I'm glad all this is happening, because that's what I want to hear. I want to hear you talking about that, so that we begin to get this going, and Caribbean people, not just Barbadian, Caribbean people begin to be more enfranchised, you see. And I'm going to close on this. You said earlier that I'm more a person who talks about the third parties. That is true. I would have loved to have seen people from the BLP, DLP, and one or two of the third parties in there. You need to get a mix of people, right? I don't understand why people think that 30-0 is actually something to shout about. That's a hollow victory, you know. Right? So I leave you with that. People think, and think critically. don't get carried away too much emotion, right? Stop and think. Thank you.
Yes.
Have a good night, Marcia.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Tull, for joining us tonight. And you hear this is a 70-year-old man is so excited about his country, love his country, passionate about his country, and is willing to sit down and learn how to do a podcast and how to do a YouTube video just to get the message out. And guess what? It's the substance of what he's doing is amazing. Go and find his channel, Gospel of the Kingdom. Go give him a like and a subscribe over there, please. Sorry, very, very important. Okay. God bless you all. See you on Friday. Again, go to Amazon, look for my book, and purchase a book so that we can help a child in Kenya with the feeding program, the porridge feeding program in Kenya. Go find the book. When we lose our fear, they lose their power. Everybody should go get a copy of that. God bless you. Bye-bye. Thanks, Dave.
While the people distracted by election talk, another shipment moving in after dark. Drugs coming ashore while them arguing loud. Smoke and mirrors covering the crowd. Mistakes made by hands with power, destroying the nation, soul by the hour. Them think bombs stop dropping, miscalculate. Cause surveillance watching at the water gates. Parliament door closed, police take control. That's how the truth slip out of the hole. That's how we know what really reach we sure. What them trying to hide, what them fighting for. Them buying villas, them buying art. Villas and art, villas and art. Buying them part, playing them part. Luxury built from a poison spark. Remember what happened the last time. Water turn wine in a blink of time. Coke turn herb, story rearranged. But not this time, no, not this time. This not no zone of peace, not safe no more. Another receipt wash up on the shore. Jumps riding in on fishing boat frame. Some fishermen living up to them name. Playing a deadly dangerous game. Feeling the fire, feeding the flame. Should I send the masters go take the risk instead of using poor man life like this? This is time falling out of the sky. People get rich and we don't know why. Money rise fast, no one is traced. Dirty hands hiding behind clean face. Them buying healers, them buying art. Healers and art, healers and art. Fighting them part, playing them part. Blood money beating in a wealthy heart. Remember what happened the last time. Truth kept and redefined. What changed the game? Story rearranged, but not this time. No, not this time. While the sons of the nation died each day, cut down young, swept away. What generations never touch them dream. Victims of greed and cocaine scheme. And still no anti-gang legislation to ease the pain in the nation. Talk and talk, but no firm stand. Why guns keep blaming the youth of the land? Life worthless than a cargo bill. That's how the system make it feel. Profit first, people last. Future buried in the past. Solely true honor. Tell me plain, not the fisherman trap in the chain. My heart bleed thinking is them know. The toss of the blood that money they flow. The lies of a baby as all of its sons start. Worth more than villas, more than art. What if you keep the people hungry and poor? Some gon' risk everything just to endure. Busy survival inside the trap. Design from the top, fall on the lap. Pin deserve better, truth must stop. Life worth more than villas and art. Life worth more than villas and art. Life worth more than villas and art. Vote wisely, Barbados. Protect your soul before greed tear it apart.